more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Are you stuck with your kart racing? Not sure the ideal kart setup? Or going to a track for the first time? Well, Kart Class has the answers for you. Our online portal has a wealth of experience and knowledge to help your kart racing. From kart setup advice to track guides that are targeted specifically to your circuit, or the driver coaching aspect with mindset, racecraft and driving techniques. If you want to take your karting to the next level, visit us at kartclass.com.
Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR, with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook today.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, in the paddock, it's about that time to go main event racing for the final time in the 2025 US Pro Kart Series season. But before we do, we'd like to ask that all of you in the paddock area and all listening in, please remove your hats for the playing of our national anthem. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the youngest superstars to get ready, get suited up, and get the final bits set and sorted to go. The U.S. Pro Kart Series officials here, head race director Blake Hunt and Porter, are ready to let the micros know, hey, we want a good start. We want a clean start. And hopefully we have a good, clean, hard-fought battle here, Henry. Let's send it on down here as we continue to prepare for 7 main events here to close out the year.
Okay, guys, I know you guys have been racing for the shortest amount of time anyone here. You guys are the youngest, you're still learning, okay? you got to think, you know, even if you're in the race for a championship, even if you're just racing to do good this weekend, your class, we're having a lot of issues with you guys turning into one another. When someone's next to you, you can't turn into them. But it's also your responsibility to think, is someone next to me? You know, other series, they might tell you, oh, don't look and then turn. As long as you look and see no one's already next to you and make one move, that's okay. But if you look and you see someone is about to be alongside of you, coming past you, if they've pulled out and they're passing you, don't turn. Because if you hit them, that's your fault, okay? You can get a penalty for that. So you need to be aware, because that's the most dangerous situation, is when the kid's trying to pass you and you turn down the straight, or even on the entry of a corner, you swerve at them. This creates dangerous situations. That's how kids flip. That's how he gets hit on the straight. So you got to be thinking about these things, and you got to be aware. It's your job to be aware of where the other kids are on the racetrack. Also, we've had some complaints about kids brake checking one another, lifting in the middle of the corner. Guys, if we catch you brake checking and we can confirm that you're brake checking someone, you will get a penalty. So don't do that, okay? You have to race in a sportsmanlike way. You're racing for a championship. It should be whoever was the fastest and had the best racecraft wins the race, not who raced dirty. So race each other cleanly. We have a question.
So what if like you go wide off a corner? So what if like you go wide off a corner, like you know how to...
That's a good question. So on the exit of the corner, he's asking, you know, if you're completing the pass. If you're on the outside and someone completes the pass and you wind up going off the track, but you've already lost the position, that's on you. If you've lost the spot, you need to concede the position. And we're not going to give a penalty if, you know, someone's outbroken you, they're coming past you, you get run off a little bit on the exit. It's your job to know, okay, I've lost the position, I need to give that up now and not try to hold the outside once you've lost it. Now, if you're fully side by side, that's a different story if you successfully held the position. That's what I'm saying. So if you've outbroken someone, you've gotten alongside or braking, and you go by and you pass the guy on the outside and you get to the exit and they're here, they need to give up the spot. We're not gonna, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking you're going in a straight line and someone is pulling out alongside of you. That doesn't mean you can turn at them. If they're gonna pass you, you need to concede that spot. It's okay to block and make one move if they're back here and you make your one move, that's okay. Or if they're back here and you make one move, that's okay. When they're pulling out alongside and you start turning at them, that's when we have a problem. Now Porter has something to say about the starts.
I know this is a lot, but I think just keep in mind that we want everybody to finish, right? You guys started out really good at the beginning of the weekend. Not a lot of pickups, not a lot of crashes, but the last heat 3, not too good. I want to see, especially for the last race with us, that you guys are here with us this year, I want to see not only you go through turn 1, everybody, I also want to see everybody finish, right? And to start, let's have a nice start, right? Let's have a good race. Let's start this race by having a good start. So who's my pole sitter and who's my outside pole? Your pole, your outside pole? All right, pole, what's your job? What's your job? Tell me what your job is. Come on, huh? You don't know? All right, well, I'll remind you. So your job is to set your pace, right? You have earned the right to bring the field to the green. You're the guy, all right? You start the race nice and slow. Newcastle, long straightaway. Don't get antsy. We're not going to start you until closer to turn 1, all right? So don't start gassing it in the middle of the straightaway. I'm going to tell you when to accelerate when those lights go out. Outside pole, your job is to match him, right? Don't be ahead of him. If you're getting pushed, put your hand up, right? Guys behind, be smart. You can be to the bumper, but let's not shove the whole front row and make it a mess, all right? Let's have a nice, clean, fair start, all right? Do we have any questions about anything? No. No? Okay. Good luck. Let's have fun.
You know, at the end of the pre-show, Caleb asked me what are my thoughts of the series. That demonstration there is why I'm such a fan of what I've seen from the USPKS this year. Now, obviously, you're not going to get that level of sort of detail for every grid, but the fact that the race officials, even after all the briefings and trainings, they still take that time. Why they do it? Because they want everyone to finish the race.
Right.
You know, and that's it's because it's all learning. It's all, and there's Steve, you know, the grid official, just reminding Jack Katowski, you know, who's going to be bringing himself to his field to the line from pole for the first time in his career. Colin Brown, giving him his last few tips as well. Such a lot of pressure on this young man before the race. So the officials, they do a great job of just, bringing everyone down, bringing everyone together. Good learning, good learning.
Yeah, these moments right here, this is when you feel the nerves, right? Haley put it, I think, really well that, you know, once you get up to speed, once the adrenaline's flowing, you know, you kind of, get into a bit of a flow state, you know, and the drivers talk about it. Obviously, it was a focal point of the entire F1 movie, is that you're always hunting for that once in a blue moon, once in a while opportunity where all of a sudden you're just – everything is natural, and it just feels like you can do no wrong. You can make no bad move. You can make no mistake. And well, hopefully that's the case for one, if not more, of these young superstars here today. Jack Katowski with the engine fired for Trinity Karting Group, Beryl Art USA, getting set to lead your field to green, waiting on the official call from Steve here to leave the grid. And once they do, we'll take you through the entire lineup for the Micro Swift division presented by Team Ferris Racing one more time here in 2025. It'll be 16 laps on the board for the Micros, the same for the Mini Swifts, 18 laps for the full-size divisions, 7 back-to-back main events here today from Newcastle, Indiana, for the U.S. Pro Kart Series Indiana Grand Prix. And we're just waiting on that one final call right here to release them onto the circuit and kick things off one more time.
You can feel the tension in the air. This is a class where the championship could go one of two ways, Xander. Two ways. Parents, family members, team members, spectators begin to fill the grandstand areas, the banking. Quickly, it's going to be Lennox Lockhart or Slate Harrell. Who will be our champion?
Great point, Henry. Let's why don't we take a look at that really quickly before we even get into the starting lineup here for the Micro Swift drivers. There are, of course, two types of championship points to look at. First and foremost, you have obviously the non-drop standings, so that's the points that they've accrued to this point. But realistically, the proper way to look at it is the drops being factored in, and the fact of what points they do have available up for grabs here today. So with the points kind of currently factored in with the drops right now, this is, again, if all is correct on our unofficial standings, it has it pretty much neck and neck to Lennox Lockhart and Slate Harrell. However, this would be if they dropped one of their previous 3 rounds. And the thing is that in the way that this weekend has shaken out for the Micro Swift drivers, specifically for Lennox Lockhart and for Slate Harrell, they're going to be leaning more on these numbers here, the non-drop standings, where you count the first 3 rounds and not what they've scored, not even what they've scored so far this weekend. Because for Lennox, it's been a bit of a downbeat weekend compared to his first 3 rounds. This has his 196 points in the weekend accounted for right now. However, it does not have, it does not have that, obviously, if he has to drop today. Even if he wins the main event today and he gets the 25 added in, so 425 plus 196, that still comes up shy of his next best score at 630. No matter what happens to the 14 car, the Velocity Racing Sodi is locked at 2,200, or not 2,200 even, just shy of that, with a drop score coming from this main event.
So Lennox Lockhart's dropping this weekend
no
regardless.
matter what, whether he wins it or not.
Yep.
The pressure is on Slate Harrell because, unfortunately for Slate, the opening weekend in Daytona was a little less than ideal at 617. So he will need to improve that score today, and the only way, with the way his weekend has gone, will be to win. Slate Harrell, this is a must-win situation. If the number 88 Nitro Kart wins the main event, he wins the title. If not, it goes to the drop for Lennox, and even Slate won't out-punch his drop. He won't get enough points, so you got to go from 5th to the top. But to get there, it's got to get through Jack Katowski, Dutch Westbrook, and crew. And as they've already rounded the final turn, one quick look through the 30-car field. For the final time in 2025, we're going main event racing with Micro Swift presented by Team Ferris Racing. And here we go down to turn number 1.
A good clean start for our front runners. Harold going off grid 6 and Lockhart going off grid 8. There they are together already. A reminder, Harold in the 88 kart must win. Anything else means it's a championship for Lockhart. Out of Thunder Valley for the first time, you saw Jack Katowski being a little bit nervous about the start when he got through it. Fine, safe. He leads. Westbrook at the back of the pack. There's karts on the grass, which will be very slippery, ladies and gentlemen, after a huge storm. And gale force winds rolled through Newcastle Motorsports Park last night. The track is dry. Rain is potentially in the area, but the grass is very wet. End of lap 1. Hudson Howard takes the race lead from Katowski, Westbrook, Brody, and Harrell. Harrell up 1 place to 5th.
And again, that was just a pretty tame start. Here's another one. He'll pick off that back from Leo Simone. He just fell back to 6th at the end of the lap. Now back around him again as Slate goes quickly to work now on the next JHED machine. That's Mason Brody. So lap 2 already starting to go back the right direction for Slate Harrell. For Lennox Lockhart right now, all he's got to do is keep a little bit of an eye on the number 88. At the same time, he has the opportunity to just kind of play spoiler, knowing that no matter what Lennox does, it'll be still not better than any of the 3 previous weekends this year. So it's all about simply just going out there and managing your race, having fun, as long as there's one specific driver, Slate Harrell, who doesn't end up on the top step of the podium in the first one of the checkered flag. For now, though, to the line, to the end of lap 2, Hudson Howard leads over Jack Katowski.
And you can see Lennox Lockhart there in the background making the move on the number 11 Bennett kart of Detroit Tigers fan Bo Wyatt. If Harrell wins and Lockhart is second, that's still a title for Harrell.
Repeat that. Yes, indeed. Yeah, because at this point, it doesn't matter if Lennox finishes second. It doesn't matter if Lennox wins. It will not be enough points to outpunch it. He's locked at his score.
Yeah. So Harrell must win, even if Harrell wins and Lockhart is second. Because of Lockhart's dropped score, Harrell would then overtake Lockhart. So if we get down to that number 88 kart being chased by the 14 kart towards the end of this race, it's going to get very, very tight indeed. Lockhart, I've always said this year, he's about as complete a driver mentally as it's possible to get at his age, the grand old age of 10. However, the gap between the leaders and Lockhart is growing. Now, this would be a concern. Not the fact that Lockhart is 8th and Harrell is 4th. It's the clean air, because if Harrell gets up the lead, Lockhart is not in a position to work his way through the pack. Here comes Slate Harrell making the move on Dutch Westbrook going into turn 5. That puts Harrell up to P3. Lockhart P8. Look at the gap between Lockhart and the leader. 4.3 seconds off the lead. But the most important gap at the moment is that 2-second gap between Mason Brody in 7th and Lennox Lockhart in 8th. Lennox has to close that gap.
Here's a look at the live standings as they run. Now, this was as of the last time by the timing loop. So Slate Harrell will pick up a little bit, moving up into the third position. However, it's still, again, not enough for him to leapfrog over Lennox Lockhart. It would pick up a little bit. It still would not, again, change the overall standings. So as they run down the front straightaway, here we go once again. Now, this was after penalties were adjusted. I believe with penalties adjusted, Slate Harrell, by that margin, second might do the trick. So let's see as they roll through 3 and roll through 4, and the times will update now. Harrell now back to the 4th position on the timer. No further back. Something happened at the end of that lap there. As it looked like he did move forward, but I think either that or we are missing a transponder of someone up in the front of the field. No, indeed, there it goes. It'll update the laps now.
Well, what's happened, because Harrell last lap passed Westbrook.
Yeah.
And now he's a long way back. Lap time last time
so this was in the opening sector of the circuit. This must have been in turns 1, 2, and 3 that something just happened here to Slate Harrell as we were bouncing through the field. And I think something's happening up front as well. Take a look at this here as they roll through the inside of the scoreboard hairpin. Your leader, Hudson Howard, out front. There's a look at the entire Velocity Racing crew. You might recognize one face in particular, our old pal Alexander Searle. He has been driver coaching with them and will be with them to the end of the year. This is their second weekend together. We had to part ways and let Alex continue to spread his wings as a respected driver coach. And now, after the Summer Nats, they said, Alex, we need you more than even KC does. And so we're so happy to have him still at the racetrack, but he's been working and obviously now rooting on the number 14 machine. But in this case, doesn't necessarily matter where Lennox finishes on paper. It does matter, though, in terms of the overall complexion of everybody else, because, well, he could take points off the board, as could anyone in this top 5 right now. As we take a look at the replay, here's a kind of a wide angle. Look at the top corner of the screen. Slate Harrell outside. Oh, dropped the right rear in the grass as he was getting past there down into 1.
One mistake, one wheel on the grass, and there is a spin. That is Michael Supka on the Techno Kart chassis. Simone leads, Katowski, Howard, Westbrook, and the number 49 kart of Hudson Howard. Sorry, Stoffel. Brody Stoffel is up to 3rd. Now it's Katowski. The Trinity Karting Group, Birrell ART of Jack Katowski on a breakout weekend for both Jack and his older brother Nico. There's Harrell in no man's land. Has one mistake cost him his chance. The slipstreaming game is on. We're not at half distance. Oh, Katowski gets shuffled wide at turn number 1.
As long as he gets more of that, he'll be A-OK, Henry.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. As long as Slate Harrell is still within shouting distance of the leader, still barely in the frame, and they keep fighting for the top spot, he'll have a chance at it. Lennox Lockhart the same, though. The more they fight up in the front, and the more that he can hopefully have the 2 drivers behind him there, Mason Brody and Alvaro Medeiros, follow him forward, they might catch him. Again, Lockhart was 4.2 seconds away, now 3.9, as Brody Stoffel leads us up and over the hill out of the cell tower hairpin. Here's another look. Check out the replay and the moment for Jack Katowski hanging on as the entire lead pack shuffled him wide, and he dropped the right rear just barely in the dirt and then had to kind of chase the kart through the opening couple 90s. You can see the gap from him up to Hudson Howard. He's still playing catch-up for having dirty tires for the first half of this lap.
I mean, I think the shop AKR do chassis protectors, because I think the Katowskis might need to go and pay an online visit to purchase a couple of chassis protectors after that one. Harrell closing in behind Harrell, a gap of 1.9 seconds to Lennox Lockhart. What a before! I mean, I know we're going to talk a lot about the championship, but let's just take a moment. The J. Howard Driver Development Team. Simon Carr there. You've got obviously Jay and the rest of the Harley Keeble and the rest of the driver coaches. 3 up at the front, and they have had Stoffel, Simone and Howard. But also you've had Mason Brody up there as well. You know, fantastic performance this year. Strength in numbers for that team. Who, of course, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is their first season using the Kart Republic, isn't it?
Sort of. For Jay Howard, last year was kind of a foray back into operating a karting team. He had stepped away a little bit as the USF team had continued to grow. The F4 team had continued to grow, and the F4 Light team had continued to grow. He had a team a couple of years prior that had a number of major contenders and race winners.
Yep.
And then stepped away to focus on the car program. Then last year, as of course his son Hudson got into it, and he had some of his car team drivers also want to go racing, starting at Newcastle Motorsports Park Club races. They have a garage actually just to the left of this camera angle, down underneath the Champions, or to the left of the Champions Club suites. And then that turned into a partnership with, at the time, the official Kart Republic team, Trinity Karting Group. Then at the end of last year, he was gearing up to just go a little bit bigger. And all of a sudden, well, TKG announces now we will be B-Roll Art USA. We'll be the B-Roll Art official U.S. team. And so Eric Jones, Kart Republic North America, and Kart Republic Factory said, hey, Jay, time for the big call-up. Jay said, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden, a crazy, crazy winter stretch in a matter of weeks, talking to DHL, talking to every single part provider, tent provider, everything, because Jay Howard, he is one of those team owners, one of those personalities that really wants everything prim, proper, nicely done. He said, yeah, our setup isn't where I want it to be to start this year. We'll have it there here soon enough. And, of course, their team setup, it's at that level now. But for the go-karts and the team performance on track, it was there from day one. They were winning across the board in January. And look again at the performance they have now. You can just read the pylon. 4 JHDD blue, red, and white shields in the top 10, and 3 of them in the top 4 spots as they run. Brody Stoffel, Leo Simone, Hudson Howard here. And Hudson obviously didn't have the best qualifying effort as well. He had to drive through the field to get to this point in the heat races. So as now they trade up the lead, first little bit of kind of breakage in the pack in a while. And this is not what Slate Harrell wanted to see. He wanted to see them ultimately end up shuffling a bit more than what they did in the last few laps. That gap's grown now to 2.5 seconds and counting.
Yeah, I mean, in the one lap that you were telling us about the story of the Jay Howard team, they stayed single file and grew the gap by half a second. We've had a little change of order now at the front. Brody Stoffel in the number 29 kart's gone from 1st to 5th. There's Slate Harrell. Now the gap between Harrell and Lockhart is still 2 seconds. So without the aid of the slipstream, Harrell and Lockhart are pretty much matching each other pace for pace. Behind Lockhart, the Orsalon Racing number 15 machine of Alvaro Medeiros. Mason Brody runs in 9th place. Caden Cladera is 10th in the next of the Velocity Racing Sony karts. He's leading a group comprising Ajax Capitan Garduno, Bo Wyatt, Enzo Ramos, Trey Sanders. Then there's a gap back to Bryson Barnett in 15th position. Brody Brown is next, then Liam Estales, Mateo Gomez, and Liani Schiavo ahead of her brother Frank Obi, who is 23rd. Allegretta, Pugliese Bassi, Zaremba, Supka, Kennefic, Maxwell, Marciano. Our pole man, George Ho, has dropped down to 29th position, was caught up in the incident there. I want to talk a little bit Diesel Maxwell down the bottom of the order. He's only 7. He's the only one of these drivers of the grid who lifts his own kart off the trolley. He is, you know, he's a tough little cookie. He's funny. He was saying to me, did I see his lap times? I was like, I did. Anyway, the timing system says I had a 1 minute 14, but I know I did a 1 minute 13. And I was like, well, how? I counted. I was like, okay, there he is.
He is so funny. He is a trip. And anyone in the pits following along with Diesel, his parents, Charles and Brandy, they know as well. He is a super, super funny kid to have around. Now, of course, unfortunately right now, he's a little ways back from the leaders, but he is still running, still on the lead lap, of course, still making laps around the circuit. And the leaders are still a ways from getting to him, and they're not going any faster with more moves through the pack. Leo Simone and Dutch Westbrook staying the same, but now Jack Katowski takes over 3rd from Hudson Howard and moves Hudson back to 4th. Brody Stoffel still rides in the 5th spot. Bad news again for Slate Harrell fans, though. as they run with him fading further and further away from that main group. It's now up and over 4 seconds, and Lennox Lockhart has almost arrived on the scene for the battle for 6th. And again, as they, if they were to finish right now, this would be a drop round for the both of them. Slate Harrell needs to outpunch his lowest score for things to really start to get interesting. And his lowest point score on the season so far, again, coming earlier in the year, because he lit up the time charts at his home race at Trackhouse Motorplex, but it was opening weekend in Daytona where he only had 617 points scored. But right now, he's only got 551. He needs a number of positions gained here in this main event to improve that score to get to the top 2 spots and potentially the win that could swing the championship back in his favor. Otherwise, it's basically gridlocked here when the drops go into account, and it's a 23-point margin with the first 3 rounds head-to-head of Lockhart versus Harrell. And again, even though we just saw them trade up again inside the top 5, and now for the lead, Jack Katowski going down to the inside and Hudson Howard to second, this is not costing them nearly enough time for anyone else to join. A 4-second plus gap here with 4 laps to go this time by. They can do this all day long. If they push good enough down the main straight, even if they're passing the leader, it won't change.
No, indeed. And now we've got 2 teammates first and second. It's the number 49 Kart, Hudson Howard leading Leo Simone. And there is a move that might finally break the spirit of Slate Harrell, and as Lennox Lockhart moves into what is 6th position. Now, Lennox, based in Florida, he carries the flag of the Bahamas on his kart because his family are Bahamian. There are a group of students that I know very well in Nassau for the Edu-Karting program who watch and follow and support Lennox Lockhart, even though they have never met him, you know, because they're the only group of go-karters actually on the island of New Providence in Nassau. And yeah, Lennox flies the Bahamian, the blue, the black, and the yellow of the Bahamas proudly wherever he goes. Slate Harrell, it was one wheel. But again,
Xander. One wheel was just the chance, right? He needed to have a flawless day. It's never over till it's over, though, folks. And the battling, well, it is going to bring that gap of 4.4 seconds down. It went down to 4.18 there.
Oh-ho!
It's going to get crazier here. Katowski hanging tough on the outside. You heard from Blake there in the pre-briefing before the race that if you're still ahead or nose to nose, that's a different story. But in that case, by turn 4, Dutch had the advantage. Now, the teammates that have worked together so well all weekend, Hudson Howard, Leo Simone, it's Brody Stoffel. That's all out the window. This is about racing for the race win, the final chance for a U.S. Pro Kart Series checkered flag in 2025. And all of a sudden, the timer, it's almost out. A lap and a quarter to go, and now the top 2 have a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, but look at how Hudson Howard defended coming out of Thunder Valley. 3 wide, coming towards scoreboard bed. Katowski on the inside. Westbrook following him through. Look at the cutback that the J. Howard karts might get. Not happening. Katowski leads. It's Westbrook in his slipstream. Does Dutch look to the inside going into I-70? No. Westbrook runs a little bit wide. And there's Lockhart and Harrell. They're closing in. They couldn't possibly catch them. Could they? 1 to go.
Let's see what the gap closes in off of this lap. Jack Katowski, by the way, when you talk storylines, he's never won a U.S. national event. Could today be the day? Everyone behind him has, and they're fighting it out because they know they need to be in the right spot to do it. It will all come down to that final run down the straightaway, and the only drivers with teammates in the main pack are the white and blue JHTD machines. Do they work together? Is Hudson Howard going to have some help if he's able to stay ahead of his teammates, or will they all pick their own lane? More defending still from Katowski. He's holding them at bay right now nicely as Slate Harrell gets the move done on Lennox, and all of a sudden he's close again.
Is that important? You never know what might happen. At least Harrell is in front of Lockhart because in karting anything can go wrong in an instant. down towards scoreboard bend. Katowski has held off this group all lap. The championship contenders are now in the same frame. Howard dives in deep. Heat one's outside. It's going to be a drag race to the line. Can Jack Katowski take his first major win?
Huge run for Hudson Howard. Here comes Westbrook. He'll go high. He'll go low. To the line. Jack Katowski. First career national win by 8 thousandths of a second. And unofficially, your 2025 U.S. Pro Kart Series Micro Swift champion, Lennox Lockhart, hangs on off the merits of his opening 3 rounds, and a 6th place will do for his first career national championship.
He may live in Florida, he may carry the American flag around with him, but he's very proud of his Bahamian heritage, and for the first time ever in motorsport, ever, the Bahamas has claim to a champion.
So here's a quick look while we get ready to talk to all the major finishers and stories from this one. A first career win in spectacular fashion, and one of the very few times that the leader going into the I-70 hairpin holds the lead all the way to the line. Jack Katowski by 8 thousandths hangs on. Dutch Westbrook by even less than that steals second away from Hudson Howard at the line. Still, though, Simone and Stoffel make 3 JHDDs inside the top 5. Lockhart wins in the drag race over Harrell. And with that, again, folks, by 23 points with the drops factored in, Lennox Lockhart secures the first championship of the day. Again, all results and championship standings, of course, unofficial. And, well, there's a lot to talk about in KA Junior as well as they get ready to roll. First, though, quickly, let's go down to Haley.
Lennox, you just got the good news. You are a U.S. champion. How does it feel?
It feels great. It feels amazing. All the drivers here have been very good. Slade did a good job, good defending, and we had tough battles, but good racing overall.
Speaking of the drivers that you faced this year, how much sweeter is this championship knowing how tough the competition was?
I mean, it's pretty tough. I mean, like, it's not as easy to win every race, but you can have an opportunity sometimes, and sometimes you have to take it.
And I know you've got a big group of people out there waiting to congratulate you. Who do you want to thank for this one?
I like to thank Velocity Racing, Sodi, Wolger, my mechanic, Diane.
Thank you, Lennox, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Such a nice, well-spoken young man. You know, they do this. We have had controversy on the start of the rolling lap, not least for one of the title contenders, Max Weiland, having a spin on the rolling lap. That is not ideal. Now they're still getting into formation here. Travis Pettit, Isaac Malcute on the front row of the grid. Teo Salamo, Max Weiland should be on the second row, but Weiland's not there. We go through turn number 1 in KA 100 Junior.
All good out front for another championship contender. Hurricane Travis Pettit leads the way as they roll into the cell tower for the first time. Alexander Vanchev going straight to work on Teo Salamau from 5th on the grid, now up to 2nd as the rest of the pack flurries on by. And we look back to find Max Weiland buried in the field. As you mentioned, Henry, he had a spin on the outlap, and now another spinner here, one of the top card entries. The 831 has gone around at the beginning of this one. I believe that might have been Lucian Laser.
No, it was Mason Ward.
Mason Ward.
So very, very quickly, and this is a simple. Right, Travis Pettit can clinch the title by finishing 3rd or better. Max Weiland on your screen there can clinch the title if he wins and Travis Pettit is 4th or lower. Teo Salamao can win the title if he wins with Pettit finishing 7th or lower and Weiland finishing 3rd or lower. 3 potential champions, those are the scenarios. Pettit must finish 3rd or better. Weiland must win with Pettit 4th or worse. Salamao can win it if he wins with Pettit 7th and Weiland 3rd or lower. But there's a long way to go, and Max Weiland, well, he was due to start on the 2nd row. He started at the back because he wasn't able to retake his grid position before they came to the line. Pettit leads Vanchev now into top spot with Isaac Malkut and Travis Pettit there as well. Salamao in P2. Now, we'll look back, and of course, not only does Max Weiland have to negotiate his way through the entire field of junior KA100 juniors, and the entire field, well, 48 entered. I think we're down to 47,
I believe.
Yeah.
Here's another one. He'll pick one off. That's Brandon Siraki back there on the Franklin Motorsports Merlin. The good news for Max here, this is a lengthy main. Lots of time still to go in this session, so hopefully he can find his way to the front and make his way at least close enough to be able to see the lead, because at the moment right here he's just seeing a whole lot of other go-karts that are nowhere near where he needs to be. So Max Weiland, what should have been a much easier run to try and contend for this championship, is a whole lot harder as he puts the bumper there to Davis Henry, pulls alongside him. Up front, Travis Pettit, he leads the standings coming into today as they run right now for Hurricane Trav with a 57-point lead entering over Max Weiland. Well, it just becomes a whole lot bigger now with the drop factored in, but mainly with Weiland needing to perform today because Max didn't join us in Daytona. He was all the way away from the circuit, couldn't make it to the opening round. And so now, as they run down the front straightaway, here we go. For the lead, it is Isaac Malkut who shows the way.
Yeah, last night as I was wandering around the paddock, MPG Motorsports have got their little Lucas Oil Formula Ford single-seater car, and sitting behind the wheel, being rolled around the paddock was Isaac Malkut. Darren Kidd was one of the pushers. I'm trying to remember who the other driver was. John Antonino was involved, but Isaac was driving the car around, wheeling it around the single-seater. Maybe, wasn't supposed to be, but they were having fun. Now they're down to business. Of course, Weiland, he's got to get through the field. You saw him maybe putting the chrome horn to Brandon Siraki. He's got to be careful because, that nose cone bracket, a pushback bumper would be game over. There is Weiland. I mean, we're into lap 5, lap 6. Fortunately, we haven't got the scoring pylon with us. So Weiland is now up behind one of the HOTS driver development carts. That is, he's still so far to 26th for Max Weiland. Now it's not going to happen for Mad Max, and it comes back to that one mistake. Slate Harrell, a wheel on the grass going into a braking zone. Max Weiland, one too many steering wheel turns trying to warm his tyres up, and he loops it. That is how critical every single lap is. Every mistake is magnified. Now, we'll focus. There's Julian Rivera in about 7th position. Really, you've got to say, Travis Pettit, Hurricane Trav, looking good at the moment. Teo Salamao has got to get to that lead and somehow get a larger group of drivers than they currently are at the front, because there's a group of 5 in the lead with Tristan Murphy in P5. Then you've got the chasing pack led by, I would imagine, a very fired up, very overjoyed Nico Katowski, who's just seen his younger brother Jack win. There's Jack celebrating.
Take a look at this. first career national win.
Yes.
And what a crowd for young Jack Katowski. What a way to get it done. 0.08 of a second on the right-hand side. And I think now as the scale lines roll, we'll keep the celebration cameras ready because you can see a whole lot of black and orange are starting to queue up and congratulate the newly crowned unofficial Micro Swift champion in Lennox Lockhart. Still, though, the battle rages on, so we've got to keep tabs on the racetrack as much as we can. Travis Pettit doing everything he needs to do, and then some. All he needed to do right now, I believe, was finish third or better. No matter what, he'll clinch it. As long as, again, Weiland doesn't win the race. But here, there it is, Lockhart, able to get through the scales, and a big leap into the rest of the family. There's his father.
Yep.
What a moment.
Yep, there's Miguel. And there was a driver down there in the red RPM team. That's Jaden Francisco. He's his mum, you know. He's, you know, not part of the team. He's in a different class. And yet he is still there congratulating the drivers. There's the emotion that you see now. This is good news on the track for Teo Salimao, in a way, because suddenly the lead group has grown. Salimao needs to be at the front of it, and he's being shuffled to the back of it, as there's Valentino Santillon and Julian Rivera. But Santillon is, what, 7th, no, 8th, 9th, Palacio. There's 10 karts in contention here. If Salimao wins and Pettit gets shuffled back, that's good news for Teo Salimao.
Yes, but again, Pettit needs to go pretty far back, right? They run, yes, Travis Pettit needs to be outside of the top 6. So now he'll only drop back 1, maybe 2. He'll slot into third. Mal Hewitt back to the lead as we race to put 7 laps down, 11 laps to go. Let's go down to Caleb Vieska as the scale line queue continues to roll for Micro Swift with one very happy Jack Katowski. First career win.
Jack, I want to take a look back at last year, right? Your brother got his first national win at this very track, and you now, exactly to the date, a year later, you win here. How does it feel, man?
What?
I said, how does it feel to get your first national victory here this weekend?
It feels great. The kart, the engine, the tire pressure, it was all perfect. There was a lot of back and forth action between me and the front pack, and it was like going to first, back to fourth, first, back to fourth. There was a lot of fighting in the race.
Who would you like to thank for this victory? I know Diego's definitely watching back from home, right? He's probably pretty happy. Who would you like to thank for your first national race victory?
So I would like to thank my mom and dad for bringing me here. And I would like to thank Vulture and TKG and Diego and Colin and my mechanic, Mike.
Well, congrats, Jack. Enjoy it.
Thank you.
Oh, great stuff there from Jack Katowski. On track, Malkut leads from Vanchev. Champion-elect Travis Pettit, then Tristan Murphy. They have broken away from Teo Salimao in 5th position, Lucas Palacio in 6th, and Nico Katowski in 7th. Then it's Santillon, Max Cristea, Nathan Dupuis in 10th for Nash Motorsports. Just behind them, John Buddy Antonino and Julian Rivera. Brady Shad is 13th, but he's the first driver really not in the lead group because 2.6 seconds separate the top 12. Max Weiland looking to see where the 818 kart is, 20th for Weiland. He keeps plugging away. We're on lap number 9. Never say never, Xander. But as you look back, there is the 818 Magic kart.
Yes, so now he's got a lot of progress that'll be a lot tougher to make. Also, take a look at the front fairing here, and this is where our resident sniper, if you will, Jerry Fandry up on camera operation number 4 and get that close angle. That pushback bumper 100% deployed. Grace will get another great look down here at turn number 1. And, yeah, that'll be a penalty that he'll still have to overcome. So that makes the live standings even more unofficial. Obviously, there's always going to be an opportunity to appeal a pushback bumper penalty here with the onboard camera that he's running, as well as our footage if he wants to use it, or the USPKS race control footage. But he has to prove that from the moment that they got into the tram lines coming to green and to the finish that there wasn't contact enough to deploy it. We already saw, obviously, one little bit of contact between himself and Davis Henry. It'd be a hard argument. So
well, I would say
keep that in mind.
Yeah, Your Honour, it wasn't my fault. I wasn't expecting the back markers to break as early as they did. How was I?
Either way, he has right now still enough of a cushion if he continues to pick up spots to at least leapfrog himself to third, because he and Isaac Malkiewicz both do not have all four rounds started. They both need to perform today. Even though Malkiewicz right now leads with Weiland up to the 20th spot, he's now reclaimed third in the championship. Still needs about maybe 6 to 8 more positions to get to second in the championship, and that would be as they finish on the racetrack. He'll need more than that to outrun the penalty. Now, that's all the championship stuff. Let's go back to the on-track action here, too. A lot has transpired. First and foremost, a couple of big movers here on the way forward. The Kart Republics, Lucas Palacio and John Antonino Jr., they both are making up a lot of time. Palacio had to start pretty deep back in the pack. He's now worked his way quite a ways up the board, and this is a stark contrast to what Saturday was, and it's a stark contrast in the conditions that really marred them yesterday, as well as Valentino Santillan nearly gets a move done there and had to bail out of it. But think about how sunny it was, how hot it was in the afternoon in the heats, where it felt like any time we saw Lucas Palacio get to the lead, he was just full on defense because he just didn't have the speed to fight. Now looks like he's rolling a whole lot better, and from outside the top 10, he's in the top 5, and we've got big-time championship implications.
Travis Pettit's rear bumper has worked loose. Is it completely disconnected on the one side? This could be major. It's not over yet. Xander will crunch the numbers, but this could, it could come down to a bumper bolt. Where's Teo Salamau?
Goodness.
Salamau is fourth. This could now flick the way to the Orsilon Racing driver. And Travis Pettit, he won't know. He won't know.
He'll feel it, though, here in a moment. And I'm sure at some point he'll take a look over his right shoulder and realize. And sadly, Travis Pettit, I think he's realized it now. And this is heartbreaking to witness. Travis Pettit, he had a bummer run of a weekend earlier in this year. He had been really, really strong in the summer, but Trackhouse was not kind to Hurricane Trav. Only 483 points. He'll have to drop that. And now he has this round that is going to end up moving him to nearly that 483 total after doing so good through the heat races. Where does he pull in? It looks like it could be all the way back to 43rd.
Let's have a look. We'll try, and he's still
Well, we have
on
to wait
track.
until it changes on track, right? Because when he moves out, then Weiland will pick up another position. Salamau obviously has gone by into third. The live calculations are already starting to swing a bit as they run now. For example, Teo Salamau is now only 71 points back. So without a doubt, he's going to inherit the championship points lead. And Travis Pettit, sadly, will have to just hope that he doesn't slide too far down the podium places. But Max Weiland, Nathan Dupuis is now in the conversation as well. The Canadian is a ways back from Salamau, but he's also a ways back on the racetrack. If he picks up spots and Salamau goes down,
there it is. The black and orange mechanical flag.
He
Travis
did everything
Pettit,
right.
But Salamau still has to win. Salamau with
he doesn't have to win now. He still just needs to beat the rest of the pack because Travis Pettit had such a bad round 2 at Trackhouse Motorplex. At the moment, that was the drop. When he pulls into the pit lane, that is when all of a sudden the live standings will show him down in 43rd. And you saw the meatball come out there. He's not pulled in this time, and I hope that, again, he's thinking about still the chance to go out and win a race in X30 Junior, because if he stays out for too long, that could trigger a DQ and exclusion from the day.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. In the UK, there's a rule that, if there's a repair lane, you can get the mechanical flag, come in, and if your mechanic, it's not the case here.
No hot pits allowed here.
No hot pits
you're not
allowed.
Yeah, that was one thing that was eye-opening to me, among many others that we'll obviously catch up on. Yes, over across the pond, you are able to go into the pit lane during the race. Even on the outlap, you can come in, make an adjustment, and go back out. Now, as we check in with Lucas Palacio on the Kart Republic factory-supported MPG Motorsports entry, and then the official MPG Motorsports driver and Kart Republic-supported driver as well, John Antonino Jr., are closing into the leaders. There is the official confirmation there. It's on the signboard. He got the pointed black flag. He knows what this means and that he'll have to head to the scale house. And when he does, we'll get a read on the totals. But again, basically, as they run, it's Teo Salamau by 170 points currently over Nathan Dupuis. And
he notices now. Now he notices. You can see his head movement. This is a cruel, cruel game. And Travis Pettit, it's the dream dies and the heartbreak is visible. You can feel his emotion. But we've still got a race on track, Xander. We've still got a champion to crown. What about Teo Salamau, who burst onto the US scene in Daytona and has been a revelation for the All-Salon Racing Group? What about Nathan Dupuis for Nash Motorsports, running in P6? And
so that's where this changes right now. As they run, obviously Salamau would improve some points over Dupuis. Both of them have also very low drop round scores. Salamau, fantastic in Daytona. As, again, a side shot in the heartbreak here for Travis Pettit. What an amazing season, and what a weekend he had put together. He still will have another chance to get a checkered flag and some hardware here today with the X30 Junior main event, and who knows where the rest of the standings will finish up. Nothing is over until finally the results are marked official after tech, after penalties, after appeals, and the like. For Teo Salamau, his bad round also came, of course, involved in that last corner crash with John Antonino at Trackhouse Motorplex. But as they now sit, it is Salamau by 152 to Nathan Dupuis. So Dupuis, with the spots that he would gain and then some, if he could somehow pull a rabbit out of the hat and win this main event, he'd get 447 markers. But the bigger calculation really quickly here is the 2 to go signal is given.
No, I suppose we're only on lap 12 out of 8.
No, yes, 2 to go. It'll refresh in a moment and update there on the left side of the screen. But yes, 2 laps to go is the call. 16 laps complete, working lap number 17.
All right, my bad. I'm looking at the ticket. Okay, here we go. 2 laps, less than that. Malkut, Vanchev, Salamau. Salamau would have seen the board. He would have seen the meatball for Pettit, so he'll know something has gone on. He will have seen Max Weiland have that spin, but he won't know exactly where he is. He'll probably be able to tell something else from the body language of the All-Salon Racing team, the collective of mechanics and coaches from all over South America. You've got guys in that tent from Brazil, from Argentina, from Bolivia, from Peru, from all over the continent. They're a very, very passionate bunch at All-Salon Racing. Last year, their drivers, Ardiles, Garzon, winning so much. Garzon, the double Supernat champion. Have we got another champion in our midst for the team in green, red and white? Dupuis now joins the lead bunch. It's not over yet on the last lap. Malkut leads Salamau to second, Antonino to third.
Nathan Dupuis trying to get there, and again for Isaac Malkuit, this would be a big haul on the points, but now with how everything is shaken up, he's been bumped all the way back to 5th as he pulls away further. Palacio down the inside for 4th, side by side for 2nd. Salamau versus Antonino. Teo might not even know that now he's in the championship command, but he's fighting with everything he's got here as they run up the hill one more time with a huge train in the fight for 2nd.
We could have a champion about to cross the line who doesn't know he's a champion yet. Isaac Malkut will take the race win. Salamau in a drag race. Salamau gets pipped for 2nd by Vanchev. Is that enough for Teo Salamau in KA100 Junior? Dupuis just behind. In 4th, Rivera and Antonino 5th will follow. That doesn't look like the body language of a driver that has just won that knows that they've just won a championship. We could capture the moment here, Xander, where Teo Salamau realizes He is the USPKS champion. Let's listen in.
Bro, thank you. Thank you.
Now he knows.
Ruli, conseguimos, marica. Quinto, vamos, marica.
No se quedó primero. Los Championship ya un camino que no se ganó.
Teo, what a year for you. You're a USPKS national champion. You just found out coming into skills. How does it feel, man?
Really good sensation. My first time championship here in United States, so I'm really happy. We still have X30, so let's try it. It's not over yet.
Talk about the year as a whole, right? I mean, if you look back to Daytona, you started off in the best way possible. How has it been, right, working with Fabio and everybody under Orsilon this year?
Yeah, after Daytona, we have some great, not good times in North Carolina. And in Road America, we don't got some good results. But yeah, we separated this. And we are here in Newcastle, champion of USPKS in KA 100 Junior.
Who would you like to thank?
First of all, God, Fabio, my mechanic Goku, Steven, who made me bring the engine guy, and for my family, and for everyone who was with me until in this journey.
What would you like to tell your family back in Brazil?
Campeão, rapaziada. É nóis, que é Brasil!
Congrats, man. Enjoy it.
Thank you.
Jump past me.
Good job. Thank you. Congratulations.
Yo en la última curva hice así, marica. Pasé a todos.
Marica, yo estaba por
Yo
fuera.
quedé como 12.
Marica, yo fiqué por fuera en los harping. Porque Antonín estaba por fuera.
A little more track cleanup to go as we continue to watch it all play out here for KA 100 Junior. We've got KA 100 Senior on deck and ready to go. We'll take a quick break and come back with another packed house main event.
Kyle, what are you doing?
It's got my new Greyhound seat.
You don't even have a cart.
Doesn't matter. I have a Greyhound.
Who the f is Kyle Cuthbertson? Doesn't even have a go-kart.
Doesn't matter.
Cuthbertson through on Turney. Turney in the dirt.
Cat food marketing. $9.99 a month.
Dude, Caleb, wake up. Dude, we're live in 5 minutes. Let's go. Come on. What are you doing?
Dude, I'm so sorry. Xander had me in a cat food marketing meeting till like 2 a.m. last night.
Come on, man.
Do you have anything I can drink?
Dude, I got the perfect thing for you. Perico. It's a healthy energy drink alternative.
Perico, non-GMO, gluten-free, kosher, magnesium, B12, B6,
yeah, it's good.
B5, biotin, and zero sugar? Pericazo! Try Perico, made with natural ingredients, organic caffeine, and supports your metabolism. Try the new official energy drink of Kart Chaser.
Kart's beginning to slowly form up here for KA 100 Senior, but not quite yet. A full outlap for the main events here today gives us plenty of time to walk you through the starting lineup for our final race with this division here. Presented to you by Brandon Jarscrack Racing. Blake Nash, the California kid himself, will lead your field to green off the back of a solid Saturday. And, well, it was almost everything he needed for the driver that starts alongside him in the Wisconsin Wonder Kid, Brandon Lemke. The 901 Speed Concepts Racing Carlos Sainz chassis will join him on the outside of that front row, and then beyond him, Paulie Massimino will start on the inside of row number 2. It'll be ZCD to the outside in the Velocity Racing Sodi.
James Overbeck, the second of our two title contenders, in there he is, number 948, will go from grid 5, Sebastian Garzon. If there's any Orsalon racing mechanic that's not hanging off fences and cheering and shouting, then they'll be looking after Garzon. Mick Gabriel, Eli Warren, Caleb Kafara and Colin Lloyd are your top 10, 18 laps. They come to the line. Nash will lead the K100 Senior Field into turn number 1. Karts on the grass. Quentin McPherson is one of them. A huge, huge incident. I think the title contenders got away unscathed, though, Xander.
They did. They're up to second and third here. Paulie Massimino into second. James Overbeck to third as they all flurry in the run down and into turn number 5. A number of their teammates, though, were the ones involved. That was Talon Laney, Shane Reddy, and Cruz. So there were quite a few drivers collected in that incident, sporting the blue, yellow, and white LN Kart colors for the Brandon Jarstracrack Racing team. But good news again, the two drivers fighting for the title are still up there in the hunt as Brandon Lemke splits the duo now going into third. We talked to him this morning. It's a bittersweet moment because his weekend still has been exceptionally strong, and yet, unfortunately, he finds himself outside of the championship because he didn't do enough on Saturday. It was still such a great day for him. Again, he started third. He's up to third again, and he's got a shot at the race win.
He does indeed. Put very simply, James Overbeck must win. Anything other than an Overbeck victory means the title goes to Paulie Massimino. The pressure is on the 948. We talked about his Burger King style crash helmet that stems from when he first got into a go-kart with one of the the little paper crowns that you get at the Burger King restaurants, and that has stuck all the way through his career. Is this going to be the first time the King is crowned in USPKS? However, at the moment, it's Nash from Massimino, from Clement de Mello, who makes the move to the inside. Great move up to P2 for ZCD. And now the two title contenders are nose to tail again in P3 and P4 with Lemke, Garzon, Warren, Isambard, Gabriel and Lloyd right there as well as we complete lap number 2 and start lap 3 of 18.
So Blake Nash, your leader, as they go side by side. Now Overbeck side by side with Massimino. You guys talked about it a bit between the two of them. It's again a really interesting and kind of pros and cons, just a mixed emotions, I guess is the best way to put it, scenario for these two who have spent so much time together on the road, enjoying racing one another, working together earlier in the year when they had that phenomenal run through the opening 2 weekends, going first and second, and they flipped the order when they went to Paulie's home circuit at Trackhouse Motorplex. You heard both of them say, look, it doesn't matter. If the team does good, if my teammate does good, my buddy does good, I'm happy as long as we win. But now, again, for James Overbeck, he's the one that needs to perform. Paulie, this race is a throwaway. All he's doing is removing points available to James if he finishes in one of the top 2 spots. But Overbeck has to win or has to finish second to score enough points to win the title. And Paulie Massimino, he's about to take first off the board as he goes to the lead here at the end of lap number 3.
Yeah, Zach Clement de Mello's time at the front lasted very little as they go through turn number 3. There's Garzon now making a move up to 3rd position. Nash down to 4th. Isambard runs 5th. The lead train of, I would say, 13 drivers back to Eli Warren in the 904 Hots driver development kart. All no-sell, make it 15 because there's Ben Cooper coming from the middle of the pack. Cooper passes the Team Ferris racing kart of Connor Ferris. We've got 16, count them, 1-6 karts in this lead group.
And it could explode at any given time. Now, side by side, Isambard following Overbeck. Not quite going to happen as they roll down the long straightaway. Single file here as they go. It'll be 4 laps complete. 14 laps to go. And at the same point here, just as we did with Micro Swift, the scales have rolled through. We've talked now to, of course, your unofficial champion in K Junior. Let's talk down to your provisional race winner, Isaac Malkiewicz. What a performance here today.
I'm here with Isaac Malkiewicz, another race win on the calendar this year for you. How does this one feel?
I mean, it feels really good, you know, like it's hard winning all these races, you know. You really got to try super hard, you know. Me and my dad worked so hard to do this and get it done. I'm just very happy to be able to be a winner at USPKS.
Newcastle is a track that this season you've had a lot of success at. What do you think it is about this place that it just clicks for you?
I don't know, really. I mean, at this track, I've raced here so much. I have so much practice. Me and my dad know the setup at this track really well. We know everything pretty much to do. I know all the lines for every single layout. So, I mean, I feel really good. I like the track. Yeah.
And I want to take a second to ask you about one of your probably best friends, Travis. Heartbreaking championship loss. Do you have any words of encouragement for him after this one?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely deserved the championship. He worked really hard for the race, too. And I know that him and his dad work really hard all the time. He's a really good buddy to work with on the racetrack, so, yeah.
Thank you, Isaac.
Yep.
Such a well-spoken young man there. Words of advice for his friend, because for every bit of heart elation, you've got heartbreak. Up at the front, Massimino and Zach Comandamello going wheel to wheel. Garzon now leads. Nash up into third position. Here comes ECD for the race lead coming out of Cell Tower Bend. He's got it. The two title contenders inches apart. Overbeck still hasn't made that move. Here comes Colin Lloyd in the second Velocity Racing Sony Kart. Overbeck has got to get over that hurdle of making a move on Massimino. As good as friends they are, Paulie Massimino, he wouldn't give a drop of sweat off his brow to a man.
I think he's going to take your advice right here.
There you go.
There he is to the inside. Nearly brought more with him. Paulie kind of gave a bit of a shrug there as they all stacked up, but look how big the lead pack is. It goes all the way back to, I believe, Sebastian Venegas right there in 16th. This is a huge train in K100 Senior. At some point, something's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And the only safe spot to be at that point is in the lead as one of them's off. Who was that? That was Perkins. Is that Perkins there? Cash Perkins, it looked like, might have been off the racetrack at turn 3.
It was either Perkins or maybe even Mick Gabriel in the AEM kart. And Massimino back on Overbeck. Isambard now trying to push James Overbeck back another position. Garzon has gone from the lead to about 9th position. And if they're not careful, Blake Nash and Zach Comandamello are going to try and pull away. Massimino 3rd, Isambard 4th, Lloyd 5th, Overbeck back to 6th. Then this huge gaggle coming out. Ben Cooper looking to the inside. Cooper trying to pass the 932 of Mick Gabriel. Cooper on the outside. There's Connor Ferris by the looks of it, trying to make a move. And the second of the Rocket Racing Company karts of Venegas also in this group. Talon Laney is there in 16th place. You were right, it was Cash Perkins who was running out, but he's been replaced by Talon Laney. Still 16 drivers separated by less than 4 seconds.
Again, all of this right now has James Overbeck, unfortunately, just outside the window of where he needs to be. Now with Paulie up in the top 3, this outpunches Paulie's drop. If Paulie finishes 4th or worse, it doesn't matter if he finishes 4th or 40th, because again, his drops, his consistency through the first 3 rounds have put him in that position. However, being in 3rd, that will open the gap up from the 2-point marker that we saw moments ago, now showing at 58. And inversely, James Overbeck looked like he was tracking to be in that kind of position up until round 3, and Road America just did not go the way he was hoping it would. He struggled through the Wisconsin round all weekend, and it just never, unfortunately, was able to turn it. He wasn't able to turn it around with a good main event score to make up for kind of just a so-so run in the heat races. It wasn't bad at that point, but with 400 points against 60% of your points haul on a weekend comes from this session, you need that one to really hit your marks, or to hit the mark and to get the score that you need, and it wasn't the case. Now we're halfway home to this session. we've started to now split the pack up. We talked a little bit about Garzone. Lemke was frustrated with him, but even further back, Garzone kind of got into it with others as Paulie goes back down the inside here for third, and that has opened the gap up. Garzone's about a second from Lemke, another half second to Eli Warren, who you mentioned would be a great sleeper pick for anyone looking for kind of an underdog win here today. James Overbeck now goes by Isambard. Everyone up front here has won in the last, I believe, year and a half. I think actually the driver that may not have won in the most recent memory would be the man in 7th, Brandon Lemke, a former U.S. Pro Kart Series champion. It's been quite some time, I think, since his last major United States victory. But the former 125 Pro Division champ, the former K100 Senior champ, he's won in about everything he's competed in. He was hoping he could add another accolade to it this weekend. It's not going to happen. Further back, down another big underdog there. Sebastian Venegas making a move on Quick McGabriel. That was for 10th.
Yeah, indeed. Zach from Andamello also trying to think back when his last major national win was. It could be coming up very soon. He looks to the inside, takes the lead on Blake Nash, and Overbeck still running in 5th. He's now making the move again. He hasn't panicked as James Overbeck. He's had moments where he's looked like he's been going to get dropped from the lead group, but he hasn't panicked, got his head down. There's a slight gap up to the top 4, but he knows the way this race is going to run, that he's going to catch this group very quickly. Nash challenging, but sitting at the moment just behind ZCD, Massimino, Isambard and Overbeck. Into over the crest, up towards I-70 we go. Now the long run down the straight. This is Overbeck's chance to maybe make a move on Isambard. But Massimino and Isambard, they're trying to make a move on Blake Nash. Nash drops from 2nd to 4th. Overbeck slots in behind through the fast series of right-handers at the start of this lap. We have got 7 to go. 7 to go and 7 drivers in a line at the front.
Yeah, they are all stacked up. 7 karts all together, going to 7 laps to go, and now Paulie Massimino is going to go to the front of it all. He'll take over. DeMello to the outside. He'll lose 2nd. Now he'll lose 3rd. Overbeck trying to get by for 4th. I don't think he'll get through. He will not, and now he'll go backwards. Lloyd to the inside. Lemke gets by as well, and James Overbeck now back to 6th here and having to play protection. Actually goes back on offense, picks that spot back from Colin, and it's all of that hard work just to stay where he was on the pylon and look at his teammate get further away. Lloyd now back down the inside on I-70, and everything is unfortunately just unfolding in the way the 948 did not need it to.
No, but he's not panicking as Eli Warren, Sebastian Garzon, Sebastian Venegas, and Mick Gabriel now join the front group. The front group has grown from 7 to 11 with Connor Ferris in 12th position, Caleb Gafara, Ben Cooper, Ben Gaunt, Cash Perkins, Anthony Rivera, Adam Maxwell, and Joseph Huet, with Ibrahim Dean rounding out your top 20.
We saw this pack get to 16 earlier, then whittle back down to 7. Now it's starting to loosely tie back together again. Here is Overbeck losing another spot. This last lap and a half has just been bleeding points here for James Overbeck. He's just doing anything he can to just try and hang on now. We're getting closer to crunch time, and he is just watching more and more karts end up in front of him when he has a moment to think and gather himself down these 2 major straightaways. He finally there got a good exit out of I-70. Let's see if he can close back up in the toe of Brandon Lemke, or will he get swallowed again? Sebastian Garzone, obviously, trying to just get himself one more race win. Another driver hot off his first career Formula Car season in the USF Juniors. And there he is, sending it on Overbeck there in turn 3. Meanwhile, still calm up front. Massimino leads to Alan Isambard, to Nash, to DeMello, to Colin Lloyd. And we talk about maybe biggest droughts. I should correct it, actually. It'd be ZCD having to go way back for his last major U.S. win. I think you'd have to go to the Rock Cup USA Florida Winter Tour back in like 2019 to get the last big win for Zach. And the last time in a Miami-powered package, I think, would have been the Super Nationals of the the 2016 season. Long time ago, but here's a look again. Just all of the moments, all of this transpiring on the right-hand side in the last lap and a half for James Overbeck. That has now shuffled him down to 7th. And again, mind you, he needs to be 2nd or better. Paulie, this win, this will just be icing on the cake. It's James where the pressure is on.
How many moves has James Overbeck made this race? Every time someone goes past him, he's trying to fight straight back. He's desperate. He needs to find someone who will work with him. You know, friends are hard to come by on track at the best of times. He needs one now. He needs that rear gunner who will sit and just push, because now Garzon and Warren have got back past James Overbeck. Still, though, what is impressive, he's not panicked. He's not making rash moves.
There's not much you can do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, James Overbeck, he's definitely had the nerves with him, where last year a lot of the story around him was that he had the car to beat in more senior main events than not, and yet couldn't quite seal the deal. And you could see it, that it was pressure building, and it would just be one miscue, one wrong move, one misstep, and that would, of course, be the difference. And it came down to an event here going the opposite direction to the final 2 corners. And still, again, at the end of the year, he was able to figure it out, gather composure, and that level of composure got him 2 championships. It is looking like it still could keep him in the conversation for this one, because with 4 laps to go, you can still see in frame and within a couple of seconds the lead group. But there is some separation now as Warren having gone by Garzon, and Garzon continuing to just fight for dear life here inside the top 10 is starting to split them back away from that top 7. Overbeck, oh man, he had to bail out of that one, but Sebastian Garzon is, again, not thinking championship, not caring about it, but trying to just get as many spots as he can, and that is the last thing James Overbeck wants to deal with right now.
I mean, Sebastian Garzon must have overtaken James Overbeck about 6 times in this race. Overbeck has repassed Garzon about 5 times. You know, Garzon is not interested in helping James Overbeck. He's out to try and win a race or get as far up the order as he possibly can. Now, we run lap number 15.
Here's the other thing now. The further back James Overbeck falls, all of a sudden vice champion in the championship starts to get a little bit up for grabs as they run, as of last time by, Brandon Lemke. Back there in 6th would have enough to leapfrog Overbeck for the number 2 plate. So this is all going wrong for the 948. Paulie Massimino completely unaware, still leads the way. Brandon Lemke, his chase for hardware is not done, as Overbeck's pack now has swallowed him and left him in the dust with more pace, sadly, still being left on the table. Now it's Connor Ferris up the road, and that is only going to increase the margin, sadly, to Brandon Lemke. So James Overbeck now sitting 3rd in the points, and don't count out Blake Nash either or Caleb Gaffera. Blake Nash is only a handful of points back from Overbeck, and I think when the lap ticker updates with the standings this time by, as we get the 2 to go signal, Blake Nash might have a chance at it. Watch this. End of the straight, down to 1. Oh, just got fed a little bit of a wheel as he tried to find a gap there, slipping in right behind Ben Cooper side by side, and ends up in the dirt, and that move right there really hurt him. DeMello signaling to Massimino, keep going, this is working, I'll work with you, let's go, let's do it. To the line, 2 laps to go. Watch the bottom right corner when it updates here in a couple of seconds. Brandon Lemke, as of last time, before Overbeck went wide, already had leapfrogged him in the points. Now, with that move, dropping James even further down, what does that do? Well, Blake Nash fell further away as well. So James is now 210 back, Nash 238.
You know,
on the racetrack, though, still, the race for the win is going to open at any moment.
Now, of course, this is the type of situation that Zach Clement de Mello and Alan Isambard, they'll be keenly aware. They know they can stick a nose to the inside of Paulie Massimino, and Massimino will not fight them as hard as he would normally do because he's thinking championship.
No, he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to do anything. He didn't need to race. He's good.
Okay. So
his drop covers him. This is free reign for the 3 of them. The only way anything would happen is if there was some unsportsmanlike major unrequested penalty, because DQs are even droppable. So for Paulie Massimino, this is a fun run. This is 1 more lap to seal off the year and maybe add another checkered flag to it. for DeMello and Isambard, what they're thinking right now is let's make sure that we whittle the field down. And they know that the end of the straight is where the timing loop is.
Yep.
I bet you Zachary Clayman DeMello does not want to pass Paulie at all. I think he wants to stay exactly where he is. And you saw it right there. That fade to the inside. He's blocking. He's defending.
Second place.
Place because he wants Isambard to be the one to push him forward. Or he was. Now I think he's had to send it, and he goes to the lead.
So, now, Zach Clement DeMello, since he's joined Sony and refocused himself, he's refocused his career, he's refocused his life. He's lost 30 pounds, and that could be the difference on that drag race to the line. ZCD, Velocity Racing, Sony Kart will lead the KA100 senior field into the final corner.
Watch this.
Isambard sends him, and watch Massimino and Lemke. Here we go.
Okay, so DeMello got a car length run, but they're lined up behind him. Isambard with a run. Massimino's not going to shove him to the line at the stripe. DeMello, ZCD, by a matter of 0.02 of a second, is back on the top step, and Isambard in the drag race ends up in the wall. Zachary Clayman DeMello proves to himself, to everyone, that the faith shown by the Velocity Racing crew was well-deserved, and the first bit of payoff for Zach with another shot to do them proud later today. You mentioned it earlier in the weekend, Henry. They said they feel really good about their KA package. They're keeping their eyes on focusing and developing the X30 kart. That KA100 senior package is now once again a winner. It was proven by Colin Lloyd in Quaker City, and now a U.S. Pro Kart Series win in Newcastle. Alan Isambard gave it everything he had, sent it into the wall trying to drag race there. The Rocket Racing Company team, they have had a phenomenal weekend. So many drivers up front in the dark blue with yellow and white colors. And here you see again the congratulations and coming together. Not the way they would have wanted for this main event to play out.
Paulie, what a race. It wasn't a win, but when you look at the year, your first a full USPKS national campaign in KA Senior, you're a champion. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels great. Unfortunately, I saw James a few spots back, so that's why I didn't really try to do anything too crazy, because at the end of the day, all I needed to do was wreck, and that was it for me. So, yeah, I mean, the kart's been super fast all weekend. You know, I left the door wide open on the last lap, which I knew Zach would eventually try something, but yeah, I'm fine with, I don't even know where I finished, but I'm fine with wherever I finished. The goal wasn't necessarily to win. It was just to make sure one of us got the championship. So, yeah, good race. Everybody was driving pretty clean, so can't complain about that. Huge thank you to BJR, my dad, my parents, my girlfriend, her dad, Offset, Nextset, Group A, Odenthal, Wiggity Wayne, BBS for the great motors, and OTK.
Talk about the year as well, right? Developing y'all's KA package, because it's not just you and James now, right? We saw Ben have speed, also have speed this year. Talk about what it's been like, you know, developing this for Brandon and you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we've been working super, super hard. I mean, like, what James and I drive is kind of completely different from what Ben and Chris drive, just because they're a lot taller and have a bigger upper body. So we have to do a little bit different things for them, and I feel like we're making the right steps and kind of what they need. So yeah, I mean, every weekend we're super fast in KA. You know, like I said, it would have been nice to win today. I think we could have if I really wanted to fight for it. But I was just thinking about the bigger picture.
Don't forget to smile, dude. You're a champion. Enjoy it.
Thank you.
K100 Senior now dusted and in the books. Kart cleanup continues with the Mini Swifts on deck. We'll touch on the multiple scenarios that are in play for the Mini Swift Championship. Similar and a little less straightforward than K100 Senior, but points aside, first checkered flag. As you said it, Henry, welcome back, Zach Clayman DeMello. Haley?
I'm here with ZCD. It's been a minute since you've been a race winner, but you're back. What does it feel like?
Felt really good. Really happy to do it with Sodi. We've been together for a short time, and to get a win so soon is an amazing feeling. Obviously, we got another one coming up today, but considering what we did in the K in a short time, I'm sure we'll figure out the X30 soon. I'm really happy for the team. It's been a while since I've won a national race, so I'm extremely happy with this as well. I can't wait to do it again.
What do you think it is about Sodi in specific that the success has just been so quick?
We got great people around the team, a lot of smart minds. Obviously, Ruben Carpetoso, who's a world champion. We got Felipe and Crivelli on the engines, who are doing an incredible job. We just got a lot of smart people around there. I feel I add a bit to the team with the experience. Obviously, I'm a bit slower at my age, but the experience is there. So we just got a great group of people, and we're developing every race we go, making the kart better, making the motors better. I think there's a lot more to come from us, to be honest.
You've got one more today, but who do you want to thank for this one?
All of Velocity Racing, definitely my parents, my mechanic Marcello. It's our first weekend together on K, and he absolutely killed it. Franco Crivelli, our motor program has been incredible. All of Team Velocity, the owner Chris, just everyone. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, at Trackhouse at the start of this year, Zach was last in X30 Pro. And actually, the team he was with sort of let him go halfway through the weekend. And they said to him, look, it's your driving. And I think Zach looked at himself and he went, look, I know that, you know, my lifestyle, I'm a bit out of shape. Over a race distance, yeah, I'm not as good. Over one lap, I've still got it. I think that hurt him. And he went away, and there's a driver who led the Indianapolis 500. There's a driver who was probably one of the top guys. You go back 10 years ago, you know, he's one of the big major rising names in North American motorsport, not just karting. He's had a long, hard look at himself, and I think he's like, right, karting is where it's at. I don't want to be the pantomime villain. Which, you know, he was the controversy.
Well, I think the big thing for him was it was the wake-up call that proved the statement you made wrong, right? He was like, no, I know I may be a little out of shape or whatever, but I can put one lap together. And they were like, no, even one lap, you're not there. And he said, okay. And I think that was the moment, and combined as well, he said, you know, in the rides that he had been able to put together to get out to the kart track, we'd seen him in about every different color of the rainbow, but all on kind of one-off opportunities. And he said it was a much bigger deal to him that when he spoke with Velocity Racing, and it was going to be a multi-race program and potentially more if that goes well, that the faith would be there and it would stay. He said, wow, they've got faith in me. I need to take this serious and put some faith in myself. And no doubt, I mean, he was a different man when he rolled off the truck at Road America. He had a good performance there. This was a well put together K senior race. There was no fireworks. There was no spectacular any moment. Nope. It was just a smart, controlled main, and then a great final lap there. And Paulie mentioned it. He's like, I knew he was going to try something. Yeah, I left the door open. You know, keeping that in mind that Paulie's still thinking of championship in some degree. Granted, he didn't have to. His drop round was more than enough, and it was not going to matter where he finished once he knew that James Overbeck wouldn't be one of the top two finishers. But that kind of back of his mind probably had him split focus, not 100%, 110% attack, and not wanting to crash the go-kart. Zach's going, all right, I've got a chance to maybe pick this guy apart, and he did. Picked his pocket and picked up his first win with Velocity Racing and Sodi Kart. They don't have any drivers in the conversation for the championship, but they do have competitors here in the Mini Swift class, and they are the class sponsor. It's Enzo Di Gennaro, though, for Parolin USA that'll lead us to green alongside the JHDD machine of Liam Nachawati.
Maxwell Matcha and Jake Manalio on row number 2. Lawrence Perriman and Cameron Johnson. Jaden Francisco and Dominic Gaddis. As you look at the rest of the starting lineup, this is between Francisco and Matcha. And it couldn't be tighter at the moment as the flag goes up. We are racing. Di Janeiro leads them through turn 1.
All good for the Mini Swift field as they roll now to turn number 5. Enzo Di Gennaro to Maxwell Matcha off the rip with a big gap as well, back from Maxwell to Nachawati. Lawrence Perriman with a clean getaway. Here's Francisco on the move down the inside of Cameron Johnson, and a little gap further back to Santiago Orioli and Jake Manalio. Then a bunch of red and black here. First, the Nitro car to Colton Schniegenberg. Then behind him, you'll find Austin Taylor, Dominic Gaddis, a couple of MPG Motorsports machines. Colton Bruck is there, Paxton Romero is there, and as they'll all round the scoreboard hairpin, they are still chasing the red and white Paralins out in front. Enzo Di Gennaro, Maxwell Macha is now another move is made there with Jaden Francisco going the right direction and Cameron Johnson going backwards in a hurry. The Franklin Merlin down 4 spots there on the run into I-70.
Now, the points machinations, unofficially, we've got it here at Kart Chaser. If Maxwell Matcha does not win or finish second, the title goes to Jaden Francisco. Francisco can use this round as his drop no matter what because he's had an up and down weekend. He's settled on his points. Matcha, a winner a second. For Matcha, the title's his. Otherwise, it goes to Pretty in Pink.
Yeah, it's basically, again, the exact same scenario as what we just witnessed in KA100 Senior, right? The driver challenging for the championship needs to be in the top 2 spots to be able to get enough points to win it. Otherwise, the driver leading the championship will take it, and the driver leading the championship has been so consistent in the first 3 weekends, he will not outscore his point total no matter what here today. He is stuck with what he has. That means this race, all he's doing is removing available points. He's not really caring whether or not he ends up scoring the most, scoring the win. Obviously, he'd love a race win, as would any driver. But in terms of the championship, for Jaden Francisco, currently 4th, it does not affect him at all. The driver affected, though, Maxwell Macha, currently 2nd as they run. That would be enough as we've got problems in the back.
Wojciechowski in the number 119, Franklin Kart. There's a JH DD machine up as well. I think that might have been Trip Golnick.
Yes.
See, Trip Golnick's mum didn't want to speak to me in the Prix show. You know, karting mums. You know, you got to speak to me. That's what happens, though. That's a real shame because Trip Golnick was making his USPKS debut, the driver from Carmel, Indiana. Obviously a track that he knows very well here at Newcastle. Now, yesterday, you might remember, at the end of Heat 3, Maxwell Matcha, he goes, well, I don't know, I've got a teammate that doesn't want to work with me. And he said this morning, hey, look, I was angry last night. Today's a new day. You know, he was referring about, of course, the driver is currently leading him as well, Enzo Di Gennaro.
I got a bit of insider baseball on that one too, Henry, and that was kind of what I mentioned earlier. Yes, the team owners, the driver coaches, and the parents, they might try to tell their drivers, hey, we're under the same camp. Let's work together on the racetrack as well. But the kids have minds of their own too, right? They'll make their own packs.
Exactly.
Leo Nachawati and Enzo Di Gennaro, they made their pack. They were going to work together, and they did very well in all the heats. And now, here we go again. Nachawati now to the inside of Enzo, and a big moment there out of turn 1.
Yeah, as Nachawati dropped a wheel off the ground and bounced across the track almost into Matcha. It did cost Matcha momentum. That allows Francisco to move into P3. At the start of this lap, Matcha was in the position to win the championship. And now, Nachawati drops a wheel off. At halfway around this lap, the championship is now in the hands of Francisco. There's Lawrence Perriman heading through Thunder Valley with the basketball crash helmet aside. Matcha back to the inside of Francisco. Di Gennaro is pulling away now. Of course, Matcha was sitting behind his teammate trying to work with Enzo Di Gennaro for the first few laps of this 16-lap race. Now Di Gennaro's got a little bit of a cushion. So look at this situation. Jaden Francisco. Do I push Maxwell Matcha, my title rival, up towards the front, or do I pass him just to keep him down the order? Oh, Matcha and Francisco get hooked up. Has that damaged Matcha's front end? I wonder if, look at the nose cone, look at the front bumper on Matcha's kart. It's been hooked up. Has that broken the bracket? Could that be a championship ending nose cone bracket penalty for Maxwell Matcha? He goes back past Jaden Francisco. Orioli goes with him. Matcha needs one more place, and then he needs to hope that that front bumper bracket hasn't broken. Let's have a look.
Yeah, this is side by side, a little bit awkward trying to get back on the racetrack. Oh no, he's off again!
Oh no!
Matcha's off again! Green corner, big moment! Whoa!
That could be game up. Well, we say that. Let's have a look. If there's no damage on that Paralin USA kart, then anything can still happen. We didn't even see, was that him running wide or was that him getting involved? Because he was in third position.
Yeah, we were looking right at the last moment that happened, and then a bigger one happens at the same time. Maxwell Matcha now is going to be at back of the top 10 by himself, about to be swallowed up by the next group in 11th onwards. Jaden Francisco, on the other hand, now up to third, Manolio fourth, and keep in mind, Maxwell Matcha has a very low drop score. Off of that, look at the standings now. Enzo Di Gennaro has leapfrogged him to the number 2 plate in the point standings.
Well, Di Gennaro has just been up front doing what he needs to do. He's 100 points back, so he's not a championship factor, because even if he wins, Di Gennaro, Francisco's point standings, that's enough. That's enough to keep him ahead of Di Gennaro. Let's have a look again. And it was Orioli making the move, and Matcha on the outside sent across the grass. Oh, you've got to say that Orioli had already made the moves, and
yeah, it's just kind of similar scenario, right? Maxwell was just mistimed trying to get back into line, and I think in that case, compared to maybe, well, honestly, the same exact thing down by turn number 1, he just misjudged how much he needed to drag the brake, probably not wanting to lose an additional spot by overslowing the exit of the corner, and I get that, but still, you've got to think about, again, the risk and reward of, okay, yeah, if I go a little bit easier or play a little more conservatively, in a battle, yeah, I might lose a little bit of time. But at the same point, if I play a little bit more aggressive, I could lose a lot of time if it goes wrong, just like that. And sadly for Maxwell, he's now 3.9 seconds away from your top 2.
Well, let's have a look. He's 10th. We're on lap number 7 out of 16. 9 laps to go. Maxwell Matcha has to pass 9 drivers in 9 laps to get himself back into the race lead. He's got to pass 8 drivers to put himself into a position where he can win the title. And he's got to make up 3.9 seconds to do so. And in the middle of the pack that he's got to pass is his title rival, Jaden Francisco, who has got to make up. Now, what does Jaden do? Does he work with his teammate, Jake Manalio, to push up to Enzo Di Gennaro and Liam Nachawati, which in turn would help Maxwell Matcha in a way, or does he start defending third position, which allows the top 2 to get clear, which would make Matcha's job impossible? First of the 8 drivers that Maxwell Matcha's got to pass is the MPG Motorsport kart of Dominic Gaddis. Matcha makes 1 attempt, it fails. He makes a 2nd attempt, it works. 1 down, 7 to go for Maxwell.
Next up on the chopping block, Cameron Johnson there in the Franklin Motorsports Merlin and Colton Schniegenberg. They're going to go side by side. Matcha can't follow the green corner too quick to be able to make more than 1 position change. So he's going to have to look right here, and the scoreboard wasn't quite there. Up the road, there's Lawrence Perriman. He's the back of the main group here, about a 2nd or so away from Colton Schniegenberg. Up the hill to I-70. Matcha, a run, brake zone, inside. Got him. That's another 1 down. Still with lots of time left as well, folks. We're only at halfway in the 16-lap main event. And while the leaders are working together, Francisco and Manolio, they chopped off another 10th last time by. That was a 70.90 for Jaden Francisco to a 9.7 to Enzo Di Gennaro. So he's not backing him up, Henry. He's digging. He wants a race win.
Exactly. That's one of the things I find really beautiful about this sport. A cynical old commentator can look at the tactics as Matcha makes a move on Johnson, goes round the outside. A cynical old commentator can make a comment about, what about a tactical way to win it? The drivers on track, they don't think like that. Francisco's not backing them up. He's not thinking, well, I could win it this way. It goes back to what Blake Hunt said at the start of the day. Look, win the championship because you're the best racer. Do it the right way. These kids, they do take that advice. Yeah, of course, there are people in the paddock who are looking at it thinking, right, championship, it's really important. This is how we get it done. Back them up, The kid's like, no, we'll go. The gaps happen naturally. Now Maxwell Matcher is in P7. He's 4.3 seconds off the race lead. He needs to pass number 180, not necessarily the leader. He needs to pass 180, Liam Nachawati. That's the kart that Maxwell Matcher there is aiming for. And there's an awful lot of clean track between them, which will be hard for Matcher to close in on his own because Perriman and Orioli are working together. Francisco and Manalio are working together. De Janeiro and Nachawati are working together. Matcher, the pint-sized driver that loves to be called Maxwell Verstappen, has got to do this all on his own. Is the title going to Canada?
So that is where, again, as crazy as it sounds, the best odds for Maxwell Matcher's title hopes rest on the shoulders of Jaden Francisco. If the Nitro karts arrive on the scene up front to fight for the race win, that'll slow the leader's pace up. Like you said, it's pairs of two in the top six, and Matcher in no man's land. He's pulled away from Schneegenberg by over a second now. He's not going to get the help that he needs to go forward. That time by, it was a 3/10 blow. 71.20 for Maxwell, a 70.9 for the entire lead pack. And you can kind of see here, as again, everybody on the fence line is giving their different signals to their drivers. And for Jake Manolio and Jaden Francisco, it's boys, keep doing what you're doing. It is working. They're now down to, again, less than a second away. They can almost taste the draft off the back of Liam Nachawati's Kart Republic.
Yes, and Matcher lost 0.3 of a second on that last lap to the race leaders. The mechanics hanging over the fence there, giving their signals to the drivers. Then it's down to the drivers. Do we agree? Do we do what we're told? Or do we go into business for ourselves and do what we feel is right on the circuit? Francisco and Manalio pushing up towards the leaders. They're dropping Perriman and Orioli. Maxwell Matcher is now within a second of Perriman and Orioli. 4.6 seconds off the lead. We're getting into the phase, the race now, where Maxwell Matcher, the fat lady is not singing, but she's certainly gargling with with a drink to tune up the band. And, the quarterback is looking at the playbook to see what the Hail Mary looks like.
Further back, let's talk about some of the other big movers here today. Dalton Sears up 5 spots from 16th. He's way back in 11th, but moving up the chain. And for Colton Schneegenberg, albeit he's not gotten to Maxwell Matcher, he has picked up quite a few spots from 13th on the starting grid to march to where he's at. Couple other movers here. Colton Bruck had picked up 5. But for Schneegenberg this weekend here, this is a very similar scenario for Liam Nachawati. I can only imagine, again, having experienced it myself over the last few weeks, the jet lag of going back and forth to European and Italian championship racing, to the U.S. scene over and over again. Some of our top pro drivers that we brought to the pressers can talk about not only do they not even feel awake for maybe the first 3 to 4 days, but the dynamics of the surfaces, the drivers, the culture, just more than anything else, what it's like to go from green to checker in a race here is different than anywhere else in the world, and vice versa. Different parts of the world, different races and different feels and how to play it all. And so for Colton Schneegenberg to run inside the top 10 to close out the weekend, it'll be a solid performance that he can hang his hat on.
Yep.
And for Maxwell Matcher, well, this is not what he wants to see. He's happy that he's now gotten up to Perriman and Orioli, but they're racing as they are for the lead. Sadly, again, this is still 4 seconds up the road from where Maxwell's just arrived. The only kind of consolation is where he's at now does put him, even if Enzo Di Gennaro wins the race, back into second in the championship, but
Well,
a good ways back.
Let's mark it down. Lap number 13. Lap 13 is when the top 2 became the top 4. Lap number 13 is where Matcha caught Perriman and Orioli, and he's already passed them and signals forward. The gap as we start lap 14 out of 16 is 4.6 seconds between the leader and Maxwell Matcha. Let's remember that. It's a long shot, but it's still a shot. All depends. Nachawati, De Janeiro. Do you know what? Maxwell wasn't happy that Enzo wasn't helping him yesterday. Enzo can help him hugely now by just doing what Enzo does best, an attack for the race lead. That is what will help Maxwell Matcha now, is an all-out war at the front. Matcha has been passed by Perriman, but he's got slipstreaming in help, Sander Clements.
Yeah, he finally has some drivers around him, so that could make a difference here. But for Liam Nachawati, what he may not be aware of is how many battles we have seen between Jaden Francisco and Enzo De Janeiro this year alone. These two were battling for the championship a couple of weeks ago. Enzo, again, in the U.S. Pro Kart Series championship, already mathematically locked out of being able to reach Jaden. He could only maybe upset Maxwell with a bummer run for Maxwell, but he's at least now got himself back into second. De Janeiro back to third. With 2 laps to go, 2 drivers who have put on phenomenal showings for the race win multiple times over amongst just a one-on-one fight this year are second and third. Jake Manolio has never won a U.S. Pro Kart Series main event. This could be big in the mini Swift category for him if he could play spoiler from fourth. And for Liam Nachawati, this would be a huge, huge win for him when you look at the stat column and you compare national U.S. starts to national U.S. race wins. But now he's going to go back to third. So back to P3 with that move there in 8. Enzo takes command. Francisco points forward. Let's see if he wants to go right here. He had a big run. No, Nachawati back down the inside. And I think we got 2 car tandems here. I think you got 2 drivers apiece working together and not intermingling.
No, exactly. Jake Manalio wants to help his teammate. The title is there for Jaden Francisco. He's got one hand on it. And as they come out of I-70, on this occasion, there's now 1 more lap to go. Oh, the 2 Nitro karts, they're drafting with different drivers.
There is the intermingling. I didn't think it was going to happen. Here we go. Manolio with Nachawati on the inside. De Janeiro to the high side. Francisco to third. And Nachawati with a big-time lead now. Jaden second down the inside on his teammate right there. Manolio back to P3. Jaden Francisco now needs to focus forward. Let's see what Manolio does. A little run. No, he'll defend from De Janeiro. That's going to keep the 190 back. And it'll be all on the shoulders of Jaden Francisco to reconnect the pack again. Side by side still for P3.
Did you see Jaden Francisco looking over his shoulder, trying to find his teammate, trying to get his teammate behind him? The champion has to have nerves of steel, and that is what Jaden Francisco has had as they come through Thunder Valley one more time and down towards scoreboard bend. Nachawati defends. Watch for the crossover from Francisco.
This is going to be potentially wild. 4 karts together, more than 7 seconds back. There's no one joining this party. Francisco noses ahead into the brake zone. Crossover maybe, he'll have a run. Pinched a little bit, that hurt him, but he's got the toe. Here comes Enzo to the outside. Here comes Manolio to the double checkers. Final time, Liam Nachawati wins in Mini Swift. And look at the run back here. Matcha, Perriman, everyone in line. Lawrence Perriman secures the final spot of the top 5.
At the end of the race, you saw Jake Manalio could have pushed Enzo De Janeiro, then went, no, wrong color go-karts. I'm going to go to the inside and try and make it a 4-wide finish. There was Liam Nachawati is your race winner, and Jaden Francisco is unofficially your Mini Swift champion. Maxwell Matcha looks like he's in a bit of a hurry to get somewhere. There's a lot of emotion there. There, pretty in pink is P1. looking for his parents, his father. Here we go.
Jaden, it's been an incredibly consistent season out of you. 3 P2 finishes and a win. Who would you like to thank for this success, first of all?
My mom, my dad, my grandparents, Road to Racing, Nitro Kart, RPM, and everyone who supports me.
And on your driving specifically on that race, how happy are you with it?
Really happy. Like, I got the championship, and I was also trying to go for the win at the same time, but not try to wreck.
And what would you say this championship means for your career overall?
I mean, it's amazing. Like, I was a rookie. I started off good in Mini, and now we just won a USPKS championship.
Thank you, Jaden.
Thank you.
Kart's on the racetrack now as we take a look back one more time at the unofficial results here from your Mini Swift category. X30 Junior onto the racetrack, and well, one more time this year for the boys and girls in X30 Junior. Again, there's how they cross the line. Nachawati on all the way down to Charlie Marin, and I believe even then, after the crash, Wojciechowski, Henry Dorman, and Trip Golnick were able to finish it out. But now we switch gears to go 18 laps once again, and the 125cc water-cooled IAME X30 Junior power plants are ready for action. Alexander Vanchev missed us at Road America, missed the entire weekend, and we missed him. But the field, maybe they didn't as much. He was so dominant throughout the earlier parts of this year in the X30 Junior Championship standings. It's no surprise that he once again is at the pole position, starting spot for a main event. And with how good he's been this weekend, he has a great opportunity to still seal the title. In fact, he's got a huge lead if he factor drops in. John Antonino Jr. right now lines up alongside him as the first challenger to let him be Royce Vega on the inside of row 2. Sarah Bradley in her new Ryan Perry Motorsport colors aboard the Sodi Kart on her outside, on the outside of that second row in 4th. Drew Thurmalaiswamy, solid weekend, solid speed, and a 5th place starting spot to boot, all the way back to Jackson Baldus and Alexander Savage. So 30 drivers, and here we go for the final time in 2025, X30 Junior from Newcastle Motorsports Park with the US Pro Kart Series into the trim lines. Alexander Vanchev on the right, John Antonino on the left, and on the power we go. We're racing for 18 laps. Oh man, what a moment right there. John Antonino had it fully sideways as he tried to send it on the inside for the second spot, and at the same time, sideways and through the grass goes Edward Kennedy, the Energy Kart driver. Down the board now as they all roll through the horseshoe section and around the cell tower hairpin. But one lap halfway done now already, and Alexander Vanchev's lead to Royce Vega is up to maybe 6 car lengths. What a rocket ship start here for the current points leader, Alexander Vanchev, on track to potentially get himself another title. This would be championship number 3 if he could secure it over the last 3 weekends. Doubled up at the SCUSA Pro Tour, missed out again on round 3 of the US Pro Kart Series, and he's going to make up for it with this unbelievable run he's been on this year, and then this weekend just right backed it up. His teammate Royce Vega now is going to get a bigger gap also to keep the RPG 1-2 as we change hands for 3rd. That was Bradley making the pass, so Sarah Bradley goes forward. Marco Salmon also able to get the better of Antonino, and this goes back now all the way to the blue helmet, white suit of Jackson Porter, his first race weekend with Speed Concepts Racing, and the Carlos Sainz chassis runs 8 caboose of this main kind of contingent we got our eyes on. Max Weiland in the middle of it. He'll make that move. That was on Thurmalaiswamy. Terrio Salamau trailing a little ways away. Ashton Wu, remember the heartbreak for him back at the end of heat number 3 yesterday. 10th here after all the heats were aggregated together for the grid. He's closing up. So it's Bradley leading this kind of second pack here, 3rd on back, and an RPG slight breakaway here for Royce Vega and your race leader, Alexander Vanchev.
I mean, look at Max Weiland here now. How to overcome, to shrug off, and the same for Travis Pettit. How you overcome the devastation, the disappointment of missing out on a title, and then you've got to reprogram, reset, and go again. I know there's not a title on board for Max Weiland in this category, so to speak, but it's a race win. You're only ever as good as your last race. And he wants to end this day at least on a high note. Here he goes to the inside, passing Sarah Bradley for what is third position. Vanchev, advantage Vanchev in the race and the title picture. At the moment, Royce Vega, who has done that, he's been a dutiful, good teammate throughout this weekend, and he sits in second. There is Teo Salamau. What sort of wave of emotion is he running as Weiland goes in again? Weiland makes another pass. That is Marco Samut, the American, the Maltese. Got the Maltese cross on the back of his crash helmet there. His dad's Maltese. And Samut moving up there, having a good run for the Brandon Jarzakrak team. As we look at this, John Antonino in the 793, running a little bit wide and almost collecting Jade Thiramus-Lawami. Ashton Moon down in 10th position. As we look at the Magic Kart once again, lap 4 of 18. Weiland now up into third position. You can see our camera crew, Bradley Dalton there, Hunter Bolton up at post 3. They're trying to close in on the front end of Max Weiland's kart because once again the front bumper is, well, it's got a little bit of a wibbly-wobbly nature
look at
about
that there. That's unfortunately about as evident as it can be here, even with as good as our camera operators are at getting these close-up angles. I mean, you don't have to. You can see that one crushed in and definitely pushed in, deployed, and sitting loose for Max Weiland. So now I don't see a scenario where anyone's going to break away. He's just going to end up playing spoiler and hoping for, again, an appeal on the pushback in the protest room if they want to try and fight it. But more so, again, spoiling the party of what could have been and could still be, obviously, a 1-2 for Rollison Performance Group with Alexander Vanchev, kind of the veteran now of the junior ranks, gearing up to move to the X30 Pro category to close out 2025 at the Supernats in Vegas. This, I believe, will be his potentially second to last junior national start. He'll have one more at the All-Star race, the IME Grands, I hope, in 2 weeks. But beyond that, Vanchev will be headed to the senior ranks, and who better to take up the mantle than the kid right behind him who's already knocking on the door of his first junior race win in only, I think, 4 months in the category, Royce Vega.
Yeah, indeed. Of course, Vega now looks to the inside. Well, Weiland, I don't think Royce Vega had much of a choice there. Weiland was on his bumper, and I got to say that looking ahead to the IAME Grands as Weiland now takes the race lead. Vanchev sliding in. Oh, Vanchev on the anchors to avoid clattering into Weiland. There are many, many drivers all trying to get their hand out and put it in Eric Jones's wallet to take some of his money, because that All-Star race, it's a big payday, and there are plenty of contenders who fancy in all a little bit of pocket money.
Yeah, it definitely makes the trip back home a little bit easier, or the race weekend bills hurt a little bit less. And well, one driver that would be looking to impress there with the home-based race team, Brandon Jarzakrak Racing's own Marco Sammet, is now up in the picture here for the top 4 spots. So Weiland leads with obviously that pushback bumper deployed. Marco Sammet now into 4th. And really making it 4 deep up here. And then only a second and a half back will find Sarah Bradley, Jackson Porter, Teo Salamau and crew as Vanchev goes back by. Weiland crosses him over side by side. Now Royce Vega to the inside. Here is Sammet looking. Weiland crosses up again. And in a matter of 3 opportunities, we've seen 3 back and forth over-unders. And it's going to end up with Alexander Vanchev back to P4. And look at Sammet. Whoa, big move there in turn 3.
Coming into this weekend, Marco Sammet had not driven a Junior X30 in this championship. He was 10th in KA Junior coming into this weekend, decided, okay, we're going to make the move. He's second last year in Mini Swift. So Sammet, in the space of 1 year, this time last year, he was securing P2 in the Mini Swift championship. He then goes into KA Junior for 3/4 of a season and ends the year making his debut in Junior X30. And at the moment, he would be, well, he's third on the road, second. And there goes Jackson Porter getting shown an elbow out of scoreboard corner. The Craven Flavors sponsored driver for Speed Concepts Racing. Porter fights back on the outside. Ashton Woon also puts one wheel on the grass. This is at the tail end of the lead group, and the lead group is still 10 strong. Porter goes wide again. Look at this. Oh, he was sideways there. Great kart control for the driver, Jackson Porter, who in a few weeks goes to Japan to contest a single-seater shootout at the behest of the Honda Motor Company.
Yeah, and that one's hard to call, right, with the angle that we had. It was hard to say how much help he had, if so, and into the corner as well. But obviously Teo Salamau was right there, so that could be another provisional moment here to keep in mind, along with your current race leader, Max Weiland, having a pushback bumper penalty. But how about through all of that, a welcome back to John Antonino Jr. in that red and black MPG Motorsport machine, and the red, white, and black Ryan Perry Motorsport entry of Sarah Bradley as well. So for the MPG Kart Republic crew, John Antonino goes from third, nearly second by turn 4 on the opening lap, down the board, and now he has clawed his way back to the edge of the leaders as here goes Bradley back and forth with Teo Salamau. She'll take the spot back away down by turn number 1.
Sarah Bradley off the podium this year in Junior X30, a 4th in Daytona, a 5th at Trackhouse, a 3rd at Road America. You know, we were joking around this morning, interviewing her. She's saying, hold the microphone up for her. She goes, look, I'm 4'11". I can't. She's 4'11" or not. She's one tough young cookie, is Sarah Bradley. Everything apart from that win in the USPKS this year. You know, the title is beyond her. It looks like it's going the way of Alex Vanchev in the DHL race suit. Bradley, though, what a start to her career with Ryan Perry Motorsports would this be. And don't forget, Bradley driving a Sodi kart. Now, in KA, you heard DCD say they got the Sodi kart is dialed in as Royce Vega makes a move for the race lead going into turn number 1. He said they're working really hard on getting that Sodi kart chassis where it needs to be in X30 Pro. Well, do you know what? The only driver really on the Junior X30 Sodi kart chassis is Sarah Bradley. And she's got it pretty well dialed in, no matter what tent she's under.
Right. She has been extremely fast this year. She was very fast at Road America specifically, and up front in all 3 of the heat races off the back of a great qualifying effort. And now here this weekend, when it counts the most, here she is again. Ashton Woon now is going to make it 7 deep, I believe. No, 8 deep in the lead pack. There's Marco Salmon to the inside defending. Salamau with a pass on Antonino. At some point, it'll be too many go-karts altogether. For now, it's pretty to look at. 8, maybe 10 here in a moment. Here comes Thurmalaiswamy and goal set. Here comes Jackson Porter back into the fray as well. Back in 11th as Vanchev goes to the inside once again for the lead. Weiland back to second, back to third, maybe more. Here comes Salmon with help.
Yep, help from the 758 of Sarah Bradley. Samet makes the move. Bradley has to slot in behind Weiland. I said at the pre-race show, I had a funny feeling that Junior X30 might just steal the show today. It's going to have to go some to beat that show that the KA Seniors put on, and we've still got races to go, but it's simmering. It's simmering. We haven't reached boiling point yet, but the chef has just started adding the final little bits of seasoning to it. And now I think he's going to put the lid on and let him boil as Woon goes off.
Oh, Ashton Woon was on the edge of the racetrack, didn't have any room for error, and he got a bit of a wheel fed there by the pack going by. Hard to say exactly who, but Ashton Woon now well out of the running after doing all that hard work to make up for the mechanical failure from heat number 3. But it's still not over, like you said. We're still just putting the last bit of the pieces together for a main event finish. Let's take a look here in a moment to the replay when we are able to bring it to you. This is, again, the aftermath of how he ended up and how far wide he was way down the embankment on the run into turn number 11. But beyond that, again, out front, the gap for the top 4 opens up because of it. It's Antonino to 5th, 2 seconds now. The gap he has to make up, and the fastest driver all weekend is back at the helm, dropping the lap times down. That was a 105.13 for Alexander Vanchev. That'll be a high bar for Buddy Antonino to try and close on in.
Great bit of maturity being shown by Royce Vega and Marco Sammet. The two youngsters up at the front, in terms of they're all young, they're all juniors, but the two of the youngest drivers sitting, not doing anything rash, just waiting.
Well, again, because this is what they're trained to do from Mini Swift and from Micro Swift. Marco Sammet broke onto the scene in his first ever national event in the Micro Swift category, and he won it. As here's another look to the side. I think, again, Antonino thought he was clear, and he just barely wasn't. Ashton Woon was still there by a bumper.
Yep.
And I don't really think, I don't see any official intervention, just a really awkward scenario right there.
Woon looked like he was just on the outside and was getting freight trained and ran out of track. Any one of about 8 carts.
It's different. It's different if the corner had just finished, right? But because Antonino moved out to set up for a turn, that's kind of where it's, I don't know, to be honest, it comes down to a bit of discretion and who you've got making the calls. It's far from a harmful maneuver and no malintent in the regard of what ended up being the outcome for Ashton was the goal for Buddy, but obviously that was a big blow for him. Now, in terms of other drivers now, new faces joining that second pack with the leaders dicing it up again. Max Weiland still with that pushback, still fighting, going by Royce Vega. How about Nathan Golseth, 16 to 7th. From the outside of that 8th row. So double-digit gains here for Nate. And as well, the same goes for the 2 drivers behind him. Tristan Murphy and one driver we haven't mentioned yet here who just passed Tristan further back as Vega goes to the lead now for the first time in a while. It's Lucas Palacio, 18th to 8th.
Yep, and we've still got 4 laps to go. There is Palacio, now ahead of Bradley, Murphy, and Jude Thirumala Laiswami, who is, again, having a quiet race. Porter is at the back of the lead group now in 12th place. Woon has slipped to 13th. Travis Pettit, Rocco Simoni, Edward Kennedy, Nico Katowski, Parker Ives, Grayson Walcott, and then Benham Abernathy, your top 20. Still, all 30 starters running, and that's a positive. Now it's Vanchev and Weiland side by side for P2. Can Marco Sammet get a good run coming out of the corner? Yes, he can. Kart's in front of him, though. Sammet in the 7.75 has a run. Vega with a couple of kart legs breathing space, and that's going to increase as Weiland and Sammet push Vanchev back to P4.
Alexander Vanchev, this is the furthest back he's been all race long. What does this do to his head as well when he looks around and he finds that the red and black machine of John Antonino Jr. is closing in on the leaders, and he's got company that are not far behind him as well. Nathan Golseth now at the helm of that pack. Salamau there, and for Lucas Palacio, just kind of in the same way that John Antonino Jr. has been able to carve up the field. Antonino, granted, from falling back off the outside of the front row. Both of those KRs are now driving up into the top 5. They've been consistently some of the fastest karts on the circuit. Look at last time by, for example. Royce Vega, a 65.4. Antonino, a 65.1. And Lucas Palacio, oh my goodness, 64.6. Tristan Murphy able to match him as well on the Ryan Perry Motorsport duo that's been following him, and now their teammate. He's about to get swarmed. Let's see if Palacio goes. Yes, he does. Inside, turn 1, end of the straight. No, Nathan Golseth hanging tough.
Yeah, Palacio on that last lap hit the afterburners as they fly through turn 3 into Scale Corner. And Vega's advantage has disappeared. This is lap 16 out of 18 as they head through the turn 6 and 7 complex up to Cell Tower Bend. Now the descent through Thunder Valley. Palacio and Golseth Finally, the move is there from Palacio. Goal says the next one to be freight trained onto the dirt, and that puts Golset down behind Jackson Porter in what will be 12th position. They're going to get the 2 sticks in the air next time by. John, Buddy, Antonino joins the lead group with momentum. The run to the line, 2 sticks to go, 2 sticks in the air, 2 laps to go. They're using all the track and a bit more.
Weiland went way too low there. He got all the way on the dirty side of the circuit. He'll be on the outside third too, and that'll really hurt him now as he starts to fade back there. Just got shuffled to 5th. You'll see his hands really busy for the next couple of corners. Antonino looking up, shrugging, going, why are we white lining now? And you saw Vega go low, then Vanchev tell him to go back to the line. Now let's see if the teammate trust is real or if he's going to send it on him. Alex is looking to try and protect a bit. He doesn't need to win this race here to secure the championship. When you take the drops into account here, oh no, off the racetrack, Teo Salamal, big moment here, end of the cell tower, way wide. Still a lap and a half to go, but again, quickly on the points for Alexander Vanchev here. It's huge. It is a massive gap to Max Weiland as the fighting here now. We can focus back in on it because it doesn't play any factor into our champion.
Don't sleep on Lucas Palacio, the Williams Formula One Academy driver. He now passes Weiland. He's got 1 lap. The top 2, the 2 RPG teammates, are trying to pull clear. Is this going to be a private duel between Vega or Vanchev? Or does Antonino, Samet, Palacio have a chance, or do they have a chance to catch them? Palacio now defending. That could be it as far as his chances of victory have gone. But Antonino is there. Antonino's closing in. And what about Marco Samet? This could be big for the championship as well.
I thought the points were done, but no. Now, all of a sudden, John Antonino has a shot at stealing second in the title fight. All he needs to happen here right now in X30 Junior is to be able to pick up 8 more points on the season. So for John Antonino, once again, he could get 20 by just going by Vanchev for second. He wants the win. Vega wants it too. Let's watch them now as they roll to the final turn for the final time.
Could this be a first junior win for Royce Vega? The answer is yes, it is. It's a title for Alex Vanchev. It's a podium for John Antonino and Marco Samet. And where on earth did Jude Thirumalaswamy come from to take 5th away from Palacio, Weiland, Bradley, etc. at the end? There is your newest national winner on the Junior X30 Tour, Royce Vega, just a few months out of Mini Swift, and he takes his first big win in the big karts. And what a banner race for RPG.
Alexander Vanchev, your provisional champion. Ashton Woon, provisional vice champ. To Antonino, Sarah Bradley, and Max Weiland. And more importantly, in the run to the line, a big moment further back. Talk about a wild moment. It was good for RPG and almost all of them. And, well, at least up at the front, a perfect 1-2. And you can see what this means. Congratulations, Royce Vega. You're a winner in X30 Junior.
Good job, bro. I'm so proud of you. How's it feel? Good.
Well, the words there from Alex Vanchev. Well done, bro. So proud of you. It starts to sink in for Royce Vega. Now we look at the Masters. KA 100 Masters, Laurentiu Mardan and Clay Settles on row 1, Mario Barrios and Ariel Castro on row 2, Miguel Mia and Scott Carapalati, Martin Stone and our champion this year, 7th. Look out for Tyler Prestel. At the end of qualifying on Friday, when Tyler Prestel had put it on pole in the rush to change tyres and to set the car up for racing, Tyler somehow managed to throw his qualifying rubber out and therefore was left with just one set of tyres. So he made the decision, I can't race yesterday. I've got to save the new set of tyres for this race. Somewhere in a skip in Indiana, there is a set of MG tyres with about 3 laps on them. They belonged to Tyler Prestel. Well, he may not have got his reps in terms of the track yesterday, but he said, hang on to something because I'm starting the back and I'm going to prove why I was on pole. The same goes for Clay Settles, 2 heat wins yesterday on the Top Kart USA machine. Then a rear bumper breakage. And what about our champion, Martin Stone? He had a motor issue in the coil gone bad for the 401 car. And it all means that Laurentiu Mardan on the Technokart USA machine will start this 18-lap race from pole position. Lights go out, we're off and racing in KA Masters. They didn't hang around, did they? Clay Settles straight into the race lead. Now, this could be a problem for the rest of the field because Settles was starting the heat races from 10th position and charged to the pack. There's Tyler Prestel. He's already passed Kim Carapalati. He's already passed Adam Crepin. He's already passed Sinead Din. I think Scott Falcone has also been put to the sword. So, look, yeah, 2-4, he's passed half the field on the opening lap. Martin Stone working with Mario Barrios. Well, sort of. Barrios there giving Martin a little love tap going into I-70. Martin saying, well, what are you doing? Look at this. Settles trying to break away. Ariel Castro second. Then it's Laurentiu Mardan, Miguel Mia, Stone, Barrios, and from the back of the grid, Tyler Prestel. Well, his first set of tyres didn't exactly do with that. Oh, the Ariel Castro hand in the air. I was saying, Prestel's first set of tyres, for the 3 laps he was on them, they did a good job for him. Where they are now, nobody knows. But he's going to try and get his money's worth out of this set of rubber. There he is on the number 417 Cosmic Kart with Falcone behind him. So from 13th to 7th on 1 lap for the AMAX Racing driver. AMAX Racing with Yuri Kolar helping to run the team this weekend. And Clay Settles, for all the talk of him doing so well yesterday, his kart was only coming alive in the second half of the race. So Castro, Mardan, Stone, Mia, and Barrios, this is their real chance to drag Clay Settles into a dogfight. As if we go through turn number 3, these the Masters. Haley Donaldson has got a very, very happy brand new Junior X30 winner with her right now.
I'm here with Royce Vega, your winner today. Royce, this is your first KA Junior National win. What was the most unpredictable moment of that race out there?
Just the start, it wasn't the best at first, but then I just kind of had the speed to just make it all back. And yeah.
Did you learn anything from this race that you're going to take into next season?
Yeah, there's a couple things. I've definitely learned a lot from Weiland and Vanchev especially. But yeah.
Is there anyone back at home watching that you'd like to shout out for this win?
My dad, my mom, my grandparents, Mike Jones, DKC, AVP, and the whole team.
Thank you, Royce.
Yep.
Well, there you go, your Junior X30 winner.
Yeah, and you
Royce
can tell,
Vega.
again, folks, he's not necessarily, well, wasn't originally downbeat, but it looks like, sadly, that may not end up being what we thought it was for Royce Vega. That's a number 4 plate showing, and we thought at first that the emotion for Royce was for the race win. Now, that interview sadly makes a little bit more sense, unfortunately. Royce Vega provisionally now knocked down the order after all that hard work, and what a great run on the racetrack. The good news is the moment that he crossed the line, that he'll have forever, and he can hang his head on that and keep his head held high. That was a great performance regardless. Hopefully, whatever the penalty may be is something that could be appealable, but if they do believe so that it was worth it, then that obviously changes things there. In K Masters, change for third as well on track, Henry.
Yep, there goes Martin Stone past Laurentiu Mardan. A 3-second penalty, that looked like. You know, what's a 3-second penalty? Maybe 2 wheels outside the tram lines at the start, maybe blocking, maybe a push.
Okay, so that makes sense here. And again, it looked to me that the blocking penalty they called on him, the only reason he opened back up for the corner was because his teammate told him to open back up, said, no, I'm not going to pass you. Get back on the line. Let's not sacrifice our exit. But I think, again, whether or not it's you know, to the detriment of the driver behind, it could be still, hey, that was against the whole field. No one's allowed to go down and go back up. I kind of get both sides of that if that's the moment they were talking about, because I did see one moment like that in the run from turn 4 to turn 5. Now, that would promote Alexander Vanchev to the win. A heck of a walk-off story for him. 3 rounds, only showed up for 3 of 4, didn't need the drop, and dominates the championship with the race win. Now his teammate, Martin Stone, who already clinched this one, didn't need to race. Racing for fun, enjoying it, and getting a little wave by his teammate for the weekend in the Prix colors, Ariel Castro.
Yeah, I have to say, I spoke to Martin this morning saying about how the coil was going bad on the engine in the third heat. But he said, look, you know, Ariel Castro, problem for Castro.
No.
Problem, and handed the air out of the race. The AM engines backed Kart out, running out of the RPG tent with the X-Prix colours, like you said, out of the race. There's one contender down. Martin Stone went, hey, look, you know, it doesn't matter where I start. It's an 18-lap Masters race. I'm going to be just fine. And that was a sort of a slight dig at some of his rivals, that maybe 18 laps might just be a little bit too much.
Well, to be fair, and I wanted to pick on Ariel for a moment. Unfortunately, it's a little less funny seeing him have an early exit stage right, but I saw him on the way to warm-ups earlier this morning while you guys were wrapping the morning show. And I said, Ariel, how the ribs doing? How we feeling? He's like, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. So, sadly, I would have loved to see him run all 18 laps. I know he would have enjoyed being able to fight for the race win and the podium, but that won't be the case. We'll have our first retirement of the session be the 479. So he'll get credited with 13th as Kim Carapalati and Junaid Dean run across the line. Those two having a nice battle amongst themselves back for P11. And then right here, middle of the top 10. Oh, no. Tyler Prestel, look at that front bumper on the Cosmic that just flurried on by. The pink and purple machine headed to the cell tower just up the road from that duo. It looks like the pushback bumper's been deployed on our top qualifier.
Oh, well, you know, he's had to come from the back of the field. Was literally in the bin looking for his tyres yesterday morning. Again, just one of those freak things. You know, okay, so we've just put our one set of fresh tyres on. We polled it. Brilliant. Let's take them off. We're going to let them for the final. And out with the trash they went.
Oh, heartbreaker for Tyler Prestel.
But he said, look, watch out. Hang on to something, because I'm going to put a show on today. He has. Now, Clay settles his lead. 0.8 of a second. Last time around, Martin Stone 3/10 quicker. We could have a grandstand finish in Masters because Mario Barrios, Laurentiu Mardan and Tyler Prestel are there as well. Miguel Mia slipping back a little bit. Good battle between Adam Crepin and Scott Carapalati for 7th. Falcone runs 9th. Todd Shambo is 10th. And Kim Carapalati and Lahore, Pakistan's own Junaid Din in P12. Up over Thunder at the crest, down through Thunder Valley they go. Laurentiu Mardan. It's been a disappointing day for the 3 drivers using the Technokart chassis. Michael Tsupka in Micro, and Asin Dramaliev in Junior, KA Junior. Can the boss bring some smiles to the Technokart family here at Newcastle? What about Martin Stone?
What about Tyler Prestel still, though,
Yeah.
right? Yes, maybe the pushback deployed will take him officially off the running order, but he's just running this as a one-off. He doesn't care about the championship. He doesn't care about what the official paper says. He was fastest on the racetrack last time by again. 1:08.010. He's now 1.4 seconds back from race leader Clay Settles. We know he's fast because he went to the top of the charts in qualifying. And obviously, like you mentioned with the tire issue, he did not get to make it out and compete in the heat races. But today, this is redemption. This is making up for all that. This is trying to have some fun. And he's going to have a whole lot of fun here as he gets ready to fight for the win. Plenty of time to get up there and continue that pace if it holds, because we're still yet to get to halfway. It'll be cross sticks this time by. 9 completed the line, still 9 to go, and the battle is starting to swarm. It's starting to build. Clay settles his lead, shrinking to Martin Stone, shrinking to Mardan and Barrios and Tyler Prestel. Miguel Mears' group as well in a battle that's forming back for the 6th spot. Scott Carapalati along with Adam Crepin back there. They're running in. Look, that was a move actually. Crepin down the inside on Meir. So back in the fight for P6. They're fighting up front, fighting as well. Here's Prestel with another one to 4th.
And I wondered there when they saw the cross flags in the air, how many of them went, oh no. Oh, it feels longer than that. It feels longer than 9 laps have been out there. But the KA1, and it gives me great pleasure as somebody who would quite comfortably qualify for a Masters car. It gives me a great pleasure to say the KA Masters Final has not disappointed. We could be in for an absolute barn burner here, as Settles now having to do something that he hasn't had to do during the heat races, because once he gets to the lead, he tends to pull away. Now he's going to have to defend on that Top Kart USA machine. Stone is hunting him down. Stone is there. Stone is ready to maybe put the sword in to Settles very shortly.
So now, with 10 laps complete, 8 laps to go, your entire top 5 are separated by only 1.2 seconds. Tyler Prestel, Laurentiu Mardan, Mario Barrios back there, 3, 4, 5. And again, Martin Stone having caught Clay Settles. You spoke about it earlier. He said he knew it was a long race, plenty of time. He's not really in any urgency, it seems like, to try and make the pass stick on the Top Kart driver. And the other point to note here as well, at this point, with so much track development that has evolved over the last 5 weekends, especially just over the entire year here at Newcastle Motorsports Park, even with the torrential rain, the severe thunderstorms that rolled through last night, there is so much rubber buildup on the groove, and there is so much debris offline. I have to imagine being a leader of a race is very difficult, because I would think that consistently the track is getting dirty again and again and again. And sadly, there is Ariel Castro off to the side already. He is obviously hanging out there with ADT. Those two worked together for many years in the junior ranks and early on in Alessandro DiTullio's senior career. Ariel's been a mentor, and Ale helped him at one point when Ariel Castro helmed the Paralin chassis for the U.S. race team. And ADT was phenomenal in bringing that charge to life in the X30 Junior ranks. Now, still with a race to go for Alessandro DiTullio in a new position. bringing the Rocket Racing Company brand to the forefront. This weekend was a last-second decision, a last-second call-up for fun. They were looking to Las Vegas for the Super Nationals. They wanted more. And, well, this weekend he's standing next to Ariel, and so is Caleb. Let's go down to pit lane here while we keep tabs on the race.
Sitting by here with Finnegan Bailiff. Finn, let's talk about your year, right? Your return back to Pro X30. Talk to me about how it's been for you so far in 2025.
Yeah, switching to the new kart, it's just been a learning experience, trying to figure out the kart and the engine program and everything. It's been pretty good, though. We've been mid-pack, but we have a shot to be up front.
Talk about this weekend as a whole, right? Kind of been, inside of the top 10, on the edge of it. Yesterday you were off the track. What's kind of been missing for you guys today, or this weekend, if you will?
Yeah, just consistency. We missed the kart setup a couple times, just trying to get it all figured out. We have the pace, but just got to put it all together.
Well, best of luck here, Finn, and your last USPKS race of 2025.
Thank you.
You saw the move in the side-by-side shot there as Finnegan Bailiff spoke. Martin Stone took the race lead away from Clay Sattles. So Sattles, who grabbed the advantage from Laurent Mardan on the opening lap, or the opening couple of corners, now finds himself back in second position as we've got a 5-kart train, and Tyler Prestel, nose cone or not, is P4. Hey, like you said, Royce Vega has got that memory of crossing the line first. What happens afterwards, Prestel start going top gear from the rear, last to first. That is something that he'll remember regardless of whether he keeps the trophy or not.
And again, talking about Royce Vega, he got called for a blocking penalty as Clay Settles goes to the lead. That move down the front straightaway, snake in the pack there. I don't know if that's going to draw the ire of the officials for Martin Stone. So there's all kinds of provisional moments here in this one. How about his teammate with a big send? Mario Barrios to the inside there for second.
And Prestel makes it up to third. It's a bit like a mini Swift race, only with, more hair.
Or less.
Or less, yeah. Or less, yeah. Because, Stone gets freight train back from first to fourth. Laurent Mardan with Count Dracula on the back of his crash helmet. Watches this. Now behind the top 5, there's a 6-second gap. Back to 6th position, Adam Krepin, who is, there he is, Bob Sons Racing, all on his own. Falcone and Mia, the 2 Orsalon Racing teammates, they run in tandem, 7th and 8th. There is a bigger gap back to Todd Shambo, Kim Carapalati, and Janae Din. A real shame for Scott Carapalati, because Scott Carapalati drove very well yesterday. Sadly, he has retired. But as we watch the Masters field head towards their last couple of laps, Haley Donaldson is speaking to Fast Frankie Mossman.
Frankie, we talked about warm-up. You say you weren't too happy with your results out there, but you've made some changes. You're ready for the main. How are you feeling?
Yeah, honestly, a big part of it was the new tire difference. Me and Austin ended up going on used for our morning warm-up, but I still think we found a good step in the right direction there. I'm really confident. We ended off the day really well yesterday with the heat race win, and, it's started off by being aggressive, but I think today's going to be a bit more tame. Just such a longer race that it's going to be, more about salvaging positions on the outside row and then trying to go forward from there.
What would make today's results a success for you if it's not a win?
Just a win.
Just a win. Thank you, Frankie.
Well, Frankie Mossman getting himself prepped to go. Now on track, Clay Settles back into the race lead. Barrios has been aggressive. Oh, Barrios and Prestel wheel to wheel. They touch. Barrios defending second. Has that given enough of a gap to Clay Settles? Oh, and it's gone wrong. It's gone wrong. Prestel, Stone and Mardan right in front of the X30 Pro field, over the top of one another. Game over for yesterday's pole man. Game over for our champion. Clay Settles. I think it's going to be Settles against maybe Mario Barrios if Barrios escaped. Luckily, everyone is okay.
And what does that do in the championship for second? Scott Falcone versus Todd Shambo right now in the point standings. That could swing when the drops get factored in, and all of those drivers that were in the top 5, where there's big swings. It's almost 100 points from first to sixth. That could move Falcone and Shambo upwards. And for Clay Settles, I mean, talk about a godsend. The double sticks are coming out this time by. 2 to go. Look at the gap back to Barrios.
And it looked, well, Laurentiu Mardan, the reactions from Mardan say that let's have a look back. Oh, it's, we're looking at the 320 cut there. That's the Tulio. Barrios defending, but then Sander, this is where it really kicked off.
Oh, yeah. Tyler Prestel underneath Barrios, tried to back off mid-corner, and then Martin Stone was right on his bumper as well. Tyler Prestel, I think he just underestimated how much faster he was than Mario Barrios in turn 2. So mid-turn, he had to make an adjustment, jam on the brakes. Stone was right there, same thing, and the accordion effect going through. And then at the rate of speed they were going and the difference, it just sent Martin Stone up and over the rear bumper of Tyler Prestel and exploded our lead group. This is now the fight for third. How about it for Bob's son? Adam Kreppin's going to have a shot to not only be on the podium because he goes to the top 5, but go even to the third position as he and Laurentiu Mardan now are together. And behind them, the last 2 spots on the podium are still up for grabs, or at least the last one, between Miguel Mir and who do we have back there? Well, Prestel's still rolling.
Possibly if Prestel's got a nose cone penalty, then that would be a top 5 for maybe Scott Falcone. There's Mardan. It's such a shame that we don't have a GoPro, or Mardan doesn't have a GoPro, because I would love to see from his, because he had about 0.07 seconds to react, and he took to the grass but avoided getting collected in what is the biggest crash we've had so far here today. Falcone and Todd Shambo would move into second and third in the point standings. Settles on his seasonal debut for the Top Kart USA team is on course for victory. Mario Barrios, after taking nearly a year out to recover from injuries sustained in Orlando in what was maybe February 2024, he is on course for a podium. And who is going to take third? But what a revelation, what a really good addition to the Masters field has been Clay Settles and Top Kart USA. They win in KA 100 Masters.
And the run to the line for third. Mardan by just a hair. Back for fourth and fifth, then or fifth now. Prestel across the line provisionally. Mir will hold it over Falcone. But Clay Settles, what a day, what a weekend. What a drive through the field yesterday, and withstanding the pressure of the entire grid here today. The Top Kart USA driver victorious in KA 100 Masters in their final showing in 2025. We'll take a quick commercial break, and on the other side, only 18 laps remain in the 2025 US Pro Kart Series season. X30 Pro coming up next.
Hey guys, it's Lucas Nogueira here, and today we're going to talk about some cool features that Race Studio 3 has that people normally don't know about it. And the first thing is how to check the weather between 2 sessions on Race Studio 3, okay? So here, I got a comparison with Orlando on the Rotax, and if you look on the bottom left, I have the weather showing my ambient temperature, pressure, humidity, and even the wind direction and wind speed. And then I have this from 1 week of the Rotax Winter Trophy, and then the second week was a bit hotter. So we kind of know how the carburation will change when the weather changes. And to be able to get this, all you gotta do is when you are on Race Studio 3, you come up here and you're logging into your account. You gotta create an account on the AIM website and just log in. If you log in and have internet on, it will pull the weather from the previous year of sessions that you have. All right, so we got a second nice feature that a lot of people don't know about, which is the track map coming from Google on the background. So if you just connect your computer to the internet, you can come up here and click on this Google Earth icon, and it will pull the background from the Google Earth into your GPS data. So normally it's very well aligned, and you can see if the driver is hitting the apex, changing his line. But if it's not aligned, you can change which server you are using. So right here we are in Quaker City, it's a brand new track. If I change from Google to Bing, you'll see that I don't even have a track there because it's a brand new track and Bing hasn't updated. So if yours is not aligned, all you gotta do is change to a different server here. I've been using Google so far and it works pretty well.
You know, I'm really starting to like this go-karting thing.
Yeah, me too. Oh my gosh, can I show you this cute dress I just got?
Yes, of course. Oh my goodness, it's so cute.
I just love shopping.
I love shopping too.
Oh my god.
Wait, did you guys say you like shopping?
Of course.
Well, dude, I have the perfect place to do that at. ShopPayCara.com. At ShopPayCara.com, you can get free shipping on orders $200 or more. You can get anything you want, like MXC rims, gloves, rib vests, shoes, anything that you need, all at ShopPayCara.com.
Who is he talking to?
No idea.
But we're gonna have to check it out. Sounds like a great deal.
Sure does.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Newcastle Motorsports Park. Henry Beaudet has stepped out, and I'm joined for the first time in our new production studio by our official X30 Pro champion, Ryan Norberg. Ryan, happy to have you with me.
Thank you, Xander. Thanks for having me. Obviously, we're not on track this week, but it does give you a different point of view. You know, when you're caught up in the racing, it's hard to kind of see the progression of the rest of the field, see how the drivers kind of develop over the week. And now being kind of on the sideline and just kind of getting that outside perspective, you really get to see how drivers essentially move, through the field speed-wise. In practice, I've been watching Garrison a lot. I've been watching a lot of the guys that, I would have on my stopwatch, or I'd tell my mechanic to watch. But, you don't normally catch the other guys that you might see have a good session here and there. And, obviously DeTulio was one of those guys that, he hasn't been in the kart. I don't think people assumed he'd be this fast, and he's been up there, and obviously Frankie Mossman as well, another car guy that, was running behind Austin in a lot of the practice sessions, but really stepped it up once qualifying happened. So, there's a lot of progression here that you don't normally see when you're out there on the track with everybody, but I'm really interested for this final and how it's going to shape up.
Yeah, how about your teammates as well, right? Now, obviously not an ideal Saturday for any of them. It felt like an X30 Pro. Gus Lawrence most notably kind of let us know a little bit the difference in the circumference of his tires, but a fresh set for everyone, new boots. What can you tell us a little bit of insider baseball before we see it in action of how good he was feeling and how good Boss Man was feeling after warm-ups?
Well, the team feels good. I think betting on RPG is a bad bet. Betting against RPG is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
No, I'm saying it's a bad bet to bet against them. These guys know what they're doing, so I think they're going to get up front, and they're going to make everything happen. So make sure that you keep them in your mind because these guys they've been working on it slowly every single time, and even though maybe they weren't showing their pace, they're learning what not to do, and that's what we do over there is we just work every session. So Davin Roberts, another junior driver that came up this year, been really impressive in some of these heat races. I think he's gonna go towards the front.
Yeah, how about that? I mean, youngest kid. He's officially now a middle schooler. He's going into middle school in the fall. Makes both of us feel pretty darn old. Quentin McPherson as well here. He's got a decent starting spot from not too far back inside of row number 5. In fact, it's an all Rawlson Performance Group row 5 with Hayden Jones on the outside. Hayden's been basically Mr. Fourth Quarter when you look at the USPKS results over the years. He's gotten wins, I believe, 3 of the last 4 seasons. He's won the finale race or in the doubleheader era, won at least one of the main events. And most of his great runs have come here. But already one win on the day for ZCD. Velocity Racing Sodi. They've been working a little bit to try and get to where they need to be in the X30 class. They haven't quite been there compared to how good they looked in the K100 categories. And yet, he has a inside row 6 starting spot. The rest of the field now released onto the circuit. He starts alongside Finn Bailiff, who Caleb Vieska talked to moments ago. And in fact, Caleb, well, he's got a little bit more for us. As the drivers warm the engines up, let's send it back down to pit lane one more time before we go green. Caleb.
Thank you, Xander, and welcome into the booth to you as well, Ryan. Good to have you. But a couple of updates, a couple of swings as far as setup goes. Austin Garrison did a big change this morning in warm-up, says he's feeling a lot more comfortable with the kart going into the main event. Another one, ZCD, say they're missing a little bit with the X30 package, with the X30 chassis as well. Went from a tillet seat over to a Jekko seat, and I'll let you two dive into that.
Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest adjustments you can make on a go-kart, right, is position of the seat and as well the seat stiffness, Ryan.
Yeah, and I mean, between the tillet and the Jekko, it depends on which Jekko he put in there, but if it's a long, recliner one, those are completely different seats. I mean, just the shape of them, the way it's going to flex a go-kart is definitely going to change a lot, but we'll see. Obviously he was fast in the KA. Hopefully, he's maybe figured something out and sees what transfers between the two. But like you said, these packages are very different. When you've got the extra horsepower, it changes how the kart comes off the corner, right? How the kart sets down is much more aggressive. It's much more more violent. And so you need that extra traction. And then on top of it, too, we're running the softer tires in this class. Much stiffer sidewall on these things. And so you can really push the corners. And that just changes how the dynamic of these karts work. And, yeah, in warm-up, it wasn't necessarily the closest warm-up. But, the way these races go and the way Newcastle races, this is our Talladega, that run to the line. So, if someone checks out, I think that's going to be more unlikely scenario. I think right now we're going to have a tight race, and even if there is a dominant kart, you're not going to really see anybody that's going to pull way ahead.
Well, we're not going to have to wait long to find out. The outlap completed now, folks. 18 laps, put it on the board. 20 drivers on the grid. X30 Pro presented by Relison Performance Group. Alessandro DiTullio on the inside there in the blue and black, and the black, white, and red. Carlos Sainz is Frankie Mossman on the outside. Here we go. No, not that time. Looked like it was okay. Ultimately, the field's going to get sent around again. And so to kind of pick back up on as well the other parts of this circuit, I mentioned a little bit in K Masters, but the one downside of as busy as we've been this year bringing all the coverage, I haven't been able to roam the pits as much, and I don't know if I have the best feel for this, but I know you will. So with how much rubber's been laid down, but more notably how dirty it is offline, do you think that's played a factor at all in the opening couple laps or even middle stage of the race for the leader getting to a dirty track?
I mean, as these guys get out of this last corner, I gotta be quick. But this track is rubbered up more than it ever has in the past. A 103, I think 3 is what Joe did this morning. I mean, that is just a blistering lap around this racetrack. I mean, off the track, it's normal, but this track's fast if you stay on the line. And right now, as they're getting into the lanes, I think the driver that keeps it clean and stays on the racing line the longest, he's gonna make a difference.
Here we go, one more time. X30 Pro, presented by RPG for the U.S. Pro Kart Series Indiana Grand Prix. We're on the power, and here we go for 18 laps.
Looks like all the drivers are making it clean through turn number 1. DiTullio with the slight advantage heading down into turn 4, but everybody stacked up nose to tail. Some contact back there between Q and DeMello, but right now Hayden Jones wrapping around the outside of Finn Bailiff.
All single file down on the inside for the first 5. Paulie Massimino with a gap out back, tries the high side now on the horseshoe in the dirty side of the track, but he'll catch the rubber and pick off Frankie Mossman, who's now back down to 6. So out in front, ADT leads the way to Turney, to Gus Lawrence, and then back to Austin Garrison and Enzo Vidmontien. A decent start for him. He's falling behind DeMello as one goes off. That might have been Garcia in the 396.
But one bad thing about Joe going so quick in practice this morning is that target on his back just keeps going. Oh, and Frankie Mossman's off the track. What a bad start to such a strong weekend. Luckily for him, race is long, and right now DiTullio is parking the bus out front. He does not want Joe Turney to get into the lead. I told him that target he put on his back in the warm-up is really big. And so right now no one wants to let this guy get out front, and everybody's just going to stay in line here and try to make sure they stay with that front group.
So first lap in the books here, 17 laps to go. It's a lengthy one still, again, 20 minutes in total, more or less. And you can see DiTullio already out of shape there off the first lap. And even talking to some of the drivers, talking about just going down that straightaway to start the race on the inside of the racetrack. You got all the stuff that your tires will collect for the full 1,000 feet as there's the moment for Frankie Mossman getting fed a wheel at the exit of the scoreboard hairpin. And now, big change up here in the cell tower in the side-by-side angle as well. Paulie Massimino going backwards. ZCD up to 3rd. Lawrence now back down to 4th. And that's going to give a huge breakaway here potentially for DiTullio and Turney.
But at this moment, if you're any other driver outside of that top 3, speaking for Gus right now, if you just got passed by Zach, it's a little too early to start panicking, to hit the panic button. Right now, your best bet is just to hook it up and try to work together to catch back up to those front two. Obviously, Zach changed that seat. Maybe it's helped a lot. But right now, Gus going back to the third position, he wants to make a charge back to lead. He said, no, I'm going to lead this pack up there. Yeah, man, this is where the tire pressure makes a big difference. You'll see drivers come in and out of that top 5 group, but right now it's about trying to stay with that top 2. You don't want to get out of the rhythm of this racetrack. It's kind of like a shifter track in a sense when you're driving in the tag here. If you get out of rhythm early, it's a tough one to get back going. But it looks like a slight mistake maybe from Joe Turney, because it looks like Gus Lawrence has caught back up to him. And Alessandro Di Tullio taking a slight lead right now. Oh, there goes Zach DeMello. A nice 360, and he keeps it going.
What in the world just happened right there in the run through Thunder Valley to the green corner? ZCD with a big-time spin around, and somehow I think he's only going to end up maybe to 10th. He's side by side with Levi Sangera, Davin Roberts, and everyone else going, didn't you just crash? And now into I-70, they're going to try and go to the inside, as he'll obviously be vulnerable for a moment with all that on his tires and heating him up with a spin as we get our first lead change. JT to the inside with help from Lawrence. New leader, the 358, takes over at turn 2.
And right now, I hate to play favorites, but Gus has been that sleeper. He's been sitting back and, maybe he's not shown all of his true potential in all these races, and that's something that these other drivers don't know. As Pauly Massimino decides he's going to go through on Alessandro Di Tullio, he wants to get into that third position. He sees those front 2 guys starting to pull away a little bit. But right now, I think all attention is on trying to get ahead of Joe Turney. They all saw the speed this morning. They want to make sure that they can keep him behind themselves. They don't want to let this guy get away. But right now, it looks like Pauly Massimino got a good pass up the inside there. He's trying to run down Gus Lawrence and Joe Turney. Austin Garrison now going to the inside. Little bit of a tough start here for Alessandro Di Tullio. Looks like his last couple laps just really hasn't been able to hook it up.
Yeah, that wasn't ideal here for the Rocket Racing Company driver. But again, if you look at how the heat races played out, right, he and Frankie Mossman were good out of the gate and not necessarily the strongest at the end. They were still decent. As now Gus goes to the lead, Joe seemed in no rush to fight that move, let him on by at the end of the run down to turn number 1. And now Pauly will close on in, but for Di Tullio, maybe it was a bit of a big swing to try and be there at the end and go a bit lower on air pressure. That's been another talking point, right, with the current compound. You touched on it earlier this year in one of our pressers about how, every year things are a little bit different. And even though we've been on this compound since last spring, still you're trying to figure out what's the magic combination of kart setup and, of course, air pressure to be there good at the start and still have a little bit more at the end.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And one thing that really affects that is when we're running at these quote-unquote super speedways that we do where we're, that's really fast, the aero wash is really, really tough to deal with. And, when you get out to the lead, it actually kind of cools off those front tires because you're not having to scrub them so hard behind the other drivers. And so that's why I think you're going to see some drivers kind of funnel to the front, fall back a little bit, try to get back towards the front, just because you start to overheat your front tires, and that's definitely not something you want to be a spot to be in towards the end of it. And there you see Zach DeMello. It looks like he just clipped the inside curb and then on the outside curb dropped the tire, and it just hooked the tire. But you know what he did? He kept his foot in it and just spun it all the way around. But right now we see Pauly Massimino going by Joe Turney. Joe going on the defensive, trying to keep Garrison behind him, trying to stop the bleeding. I don't think he wants to fall out of that third position.
Well, there you go. So now Massimino on the charge. You mentioned Garrison as well. And, for the first time all weekend, at least during the on-track activity, we're getting some reports of potentially a bit of rain. Just some very light drops here, and it's a minuscule cell, but it's right on top of us. You can see we're directly south of Muncie, west of Richmond, and right about the P and the O in Indianapolis along that interstate. So Gus Lawrence leading the train. Now Massimino the inside this corner. Yesterday had a big moment in Heat 3 when Turney and Di Tullio collided, both of them going up and over the edge of the banking. It felt like missing the brake zone on lap 1, and the leader now, he's flying blind of whether or not the track's going to change. Obviously, as a driver, you notice if you start seeing droplets on your visor and you start to mentally think, okay, this might be a little bit tricky to get into the next corner to try and back it up.
As a driver, your job is just to go out there and go as deep as you can. You don't want to give up the win because you're too cautious. I think everybody's okay. Like, understand if you mess up because there's rain on the track, because you're pushing hard, that's one thing. But there you see Austin Garrison going to that third position, getting in front of Gus Lawrence. It looks like ADT, he's going to have to slot back into fifth. That third position, that's that key spot at one of these racetracks. When you're in fourth, you're kind of at the whims of everybody else. You got to see where the third driver wants to go. You can't really get that over-under. When you're in that third position, yeah, you're behind two other guys. It's difficult, but you have more opportunities to kind of do an over-under like Joe did, where he went with Paulie. Now he's in second. You know, you have much more opportunities than fourth. It's a big difference on the racetrack being in that hot spot versus being in that fourth where you're reacting. You've still got to worry about ADT right behind you. You know, you're playing more defensive than offensive. And I think right now Garrison knows that. He wants to get into that third hot seat because now, you know, when stuff goes, oh, there you go, Gus Lawrence back in. That's what I told you. That spot right there is more valuable than almost, you know, second. You know, that's a good spot to be in right there, because when these two start to fight, you've got more options than you think.
Well, and as well, you know, you can kind of back up your corners a bit, even more so than the guy in second, and take care of your stuff a little bit. Try to keep your tires cooler if you do want to make a big push at the very end compared to the leader who has to go in to the absolute limit on the brake zone. So now Garrison back to third, back to fourth. DeTulio is by, and all of a sudden, as we approach the halfway mark in about a lap and a half, the Rocket Racing Company LN Kart is starting to really come to life. And for Paulie Massimino, this has got to feel really good and a bit like redemption. Yes, Road America, that was a huge, huge win for that entire BJR crew, where they've shown a lot of speed throughout the year, and they've definitely been able to challenge the likes of you at points. But I feel like just as many weekends they've had the speed for the win, they've had it go wrong with a crash off the start or something else that's taken them out of the running by the time we got to the main. And now, here working lap number 9, it's Paulie Massimino, the North Carolina native, showing the way to a pair of Brits there, second and third. DeTulio out of Miami, Florida, and a fellow Floridian there in Austin Garrison. And again, Hayden Jones just quietly, methodically finding his way into the right position there, 7th, with Mossman right in front of him in 6th.
I know we kind of overlooked the fact that Mossman's at 6th because he's been running up front all week, but he was in the grass on the first lap, Xander.
That's true.
So the fact that he's back in that lead pack, I mean, he's right there. He's right behind his teammate, Austin Garrison. He's got a chance at this. I mean, look at the lap count. We're at lap 9. As a driver like me, I still haven't seen the halfway sticks. So I'm just trying to get in my rhythm, wait for that kart. I mean, we're looking at lap 12, 13 for these guys to really start turning it up. You know, that's when you start to get a little bit more desperate and you go, okay, I'm going to start pushing this a little bit harder than I need to. And there you go, halfway stick. So even now, I think these drivers are still trying to stay calm. You know, maybe let's pick up a spot or not here or there, but really it's mainly about trying to stay in a rhythm. I talk about it a lot, but if you fall out of that pack and because of a mistake, or you get racing too hard and those leaders gap, your race is over. And there you go, Joe Turney going to the lead. And this is something, I mean, unfortunately, I feel like I'm an expert on this topic. I mean, it's one I don't really want to be an expert on. But this is a normal Joe move right there. And as you see, Gus Lawrence into the second position. He likes to sit in that second spot until, drivers side-by-side teammates. Frankie Mossman seemed to go on the outside of Austin Garrison over there in turn number 8. Now Mossman's into that 5th position.
Yeah, but that's a great point, though, right? Joe had that quick whip of the neck, looked back, realized that the pack was starting to bear down, and he just finds a way to time the moment almost
Xander,
perfectly.
How many times I've been catching Joe in second, and I'm in third, and as soon as I catch him, he passes for the lead, and then I get stuck dealing with the guy in second, and then it ends up like this, where he's got a 5-car lead going down the straightaway. But we're at Newcastle, so this isn't anywhere. You know, this is Newcastle Motorsports Park. You got 2 of the longest straightaways back to back with one another. Gus Lawrence on that AVP power, he's gonna have enough to get back up to him. So let's watch these next couple laps go. I mean, obviously him and Paulie Massimino, they can't fight, but Gus Lawrence has got to get down, dig deep, and try to catch his fellow countrymen, because right now, I mean, Joe's quick.
Yeah, and this is the first time that these two have gotten to do battle, right? Gus wasn't able to be with us when Joe made his return back at Road America, at least stateside, that is. And I'm sure there's probably a good bit of national pride as well. I know, at least in a little bit from my trip abroad, that, well, yes, Joe Turney, he's had a phenomenal career so far here in the United States. But there's a lot of other drivers that raced against him growing up and consistently, and are like, dude, I'm just as good as that guy. I'm better than that guy. And I have to imagine that as nice of a guy as Gus Lawrence is, and he is a very, very polished young man who now finds himself captain of the RPG contingent inside the top 10. He'd love to take the fight and be known as the newest and maybe new and improved Brit
done,
that we've
man.
got racing over here.
Get it done. I'm rooting for him. I mean, right now he's in a good spot. I think, that second position isn't bad here. When you get down the straightaway, you've got options at the line, and so that's, ideally where they're going. But one thing that you notice is that when they're in the slipstream, it seems like Joe's able to kind of stick and move where he wants to go, where the other guys they got one opportunity. That's turn one, and so right now he seems to have a slight advantage. But here we see Austin Garrison and Frankie Mossman. This is how they were all practice. This is what I watched all day. And there you go, ADT. Lower tire pressure seeming to pay off. We were all kind of, I wouldn't say counting him out, but we were watching him go back. And now he's going purple on that last lap, and he is ready to run down these front two guys.
Yeah, that was a 63.5. I mean, he is moving. A 63.9 last time for Turney, and here comes Gus to the inside. New leader, turn one, and there you go. Turney chopping it just tight enough that DeTulio couldn't quite follow through and had to bail out. But I think it was a great moment as well that we caught with Garrison and Mossman, where the trailing car there just kind of fell off the edge of the asphalt a bit exiting green corner. And like you said, for Joe Turney, that benefit of running in the wake or being maybe a little bit stronger and able to do that, it's only going to multiply with him leading more laps and the rest of the drivers having more dirty air, continuously kind of compounding that problem, right?
Yeah, and I think this is where we're starting to see strategies play out, right? Obviously, DeTulio a little bit slower in the beginning, fell back, he took his medicine, but he stayed on the racetrack. That's the biggest part. You stay on the racetrack and you just work your way back towards the front. And right now, he's doing that. Maybe learning in the cars, trying to keep care of your front wings and everything has taught him, let's just stay out of trouble here and just wait for these guys to come back in there. But super deep going into 13 there. Super deep. You can see the Kart jacking. And right now, Joe Turney going back to lead. Again, he knows that DeTulio's right behind him, is going to try to follow him through here, and he's trying to create a little bit of a mess, give himself some breathing room, and do his normal strategy. But we're getting to 4 or 5 laps to go at this point. I mean, this is where you start going for it, Xander. This is what I was talking about. This is where the drivers are going to start pushing it. Right here, you see DeTulio to the inside. Contact. Oh my gosh, and that's going to open the door for Polymassimino to slide right through and give Turney a huge gift with 4 to go.
Now, it is a repeat of the off the racetrack. Yeah, way wide there in the cell tower. He kept it on. I don't know if it was just all the dirt from going wide there in 5 or what, but he totally ended up on the outside edge of the asphalt. But as I was mentioning back now, with Joe Turney leading and Polymassimino now into second, the stage is set just as it was back at round 3, where the race rests on the shoulders of Pauly. Getting reports here as we take a look at the replay. Here's DeTulio's move. Gus, obviously, it was a little last second. At the same time, he probably didn't want to give it up. And then watch this all the way here, or if we will, towards the end of that, where DeTulio had the front bumper behind the tire, kind of caved in, so that's what sent him wide.
It's a tough one from our angle. I mean, when they're coming straight at you right now, you can't really see exactly where they are, but unfortunate for ADT there, because he's definitely taking it on the chin there. It looks like he's coming in. Yeah, he's coming in.
There's significant front-end damage of some kind or something more so. Whatever the issue is, this was a one-off, obviously. Flat tire, right front tire for Alessandro DeTulio. That's what it was. So not the bumper, but the tire down. And watch this as he just quickly runs off to the wayside there.
What happens is the nose cone gets stuck inside the tire, and it actually just rips all the bead locks out. Bends them or whatever, and it goes flat almost instantly. And so just what an unfortunate end to what a strong weekend. You can see some frustration there coming back into the pits. But right now, Joe Turney in the lead, got about a 0.4 of a second lead, it looks like right there, enough to stay out of the tow. So right now, Pauly, to catch back up to Joe, he's got to kind of get in that 2/3 window. It looks like, right, 0.4 of a second. He's got to get within, I would say, 0.2 to really make a difference here. But unfortunately, I think the outside of Alessandro, the one that got hurt the most out of this was Gus Lawrence. He had a good kart that was able to compete for the win here. But it's going to be an uphill battle with 3 laps to go to catch Pauly or Joe.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Polymassimino, you could see the difference as well in the lines and honestly how good the go-karts looked in the 90s on the opening sector here. Joe looks so good being able to especially send the kart over the curbing and have that line be a bit narrower, but more than anything, I mean, you saw the gap just widen from turn 2 to turn number 4. And granted, yes, with the big straights here on this circuit, when they get out of the scoreboard hairpin and they get to I-70, the gap kind of closes back down again a little bit. But like you said, Paulie now outside the tow window. We're coming to 2 laps to go. Here's the big question. If you let Gus Lawrence go, maybe he can get up there to Joe. Gus is going to get a big run here. He's going to give a shove to Paulie. That'll put him back close. And I don't know if that was the right call, Ryan.
You know, I mean, at this point, Gus has got to go with, there you see him go in turn number 3 there. I mean, he's got to go with the least path of resistance. And you know, at the end of the straightaway, he probably would have had to send it in there pretty late. And right now, he's going down to the inside. They've all given up on the race win at this point, which you understand. With 2 laps to go, it's not very likely scenario. But right now, you see Gus Lawrence keeping it kind of tight, and that's going to bring Austin Garrison back up into this podium fight. He's been outside the top 5 pretty much all week, just kind of floating in that, you know, trying to pick up the scraps as best he can. But it looks like he's making the best of this weekend. Maybe he just wasn't able to find the right package that he's been looking for all week, but he's been able to get some speed here in the final and really make the best of this weekend. Yeah, like you said, he's not really been on the radar of you know, a favorite, if you will, for the main event. But yes, the 392 now with a crossover on Paulie will pull alongside for a moment, tuck back in, white flag coming. And for Gus Lawrence, indeed, the fight's just going to be on for second. That's going to bring Frankie Mossman back into the fray. Further back, there's Hayden Jones leading the next group, fighting for 6th, and this will be the story of it. Joe Turney out in front by quite a bit. Gus Lawrence, as we're getting reports here, a looming potential penalty for the man in second, so that could change things. Of course, the drivers, totally unaware, are going to still fight it out with them if they can, although Paulie is equally defending a bit back here for 3rd, more so. And Gus, I think, is hoping at this point, I mean, obviously he doesn't know he's got a penalty. I'm hoping that he can stretch out a little bit of a gap here so that maybe whatever penalty it is, he'll be able to outrun it. But he's still running pretty narrow. And right there, Frankie Mossman going up to the inside of his teammate. That's going to give 3rd place to Paulie Massimino. Gus still running that tighter defensive line. Right now, it looks like Paulie Massimino is going to have a little bit of a run. Gus down to the inside. Paulie up. Top of the racetrack. He's looking for that crossover. The problem is he going to get to his bumper at the kink?
He's going to go to the outside. Lawrence to the low side. They're going to drag race. Joe Turney, a winner again here in the States. And for Massimino, almost, but not quite to the line. Joe Turney wins the Indiana Grand Prix for the U.S. Pro Kart Series finale. Austin Garrison wins out over Frankie Mossman, and we are just getting reports that Gus Lawrence has just been handed incident responsibility, a penalty for the contact with Alessandro Di Tullio, and that will shake up the podium. But for JT, fired up and a big gap there at the line, and while he won't be able to join the field at the Miami Grand National Championship here in a couple weeks to try and take some more of his boss's bank account, this will be a heck of a payday. 20 drivers on the board and 100% payback in the purse. Joe Turney will get the lion's share of it all the way back to 6th place there with Hayden Jones hanging on over a strong run for Finnegan Bailiff. Enzo Vidmontiana ends up in the 8th spot, and then Davin Roberts and Levi Sangera. I believe that may be his first top 10 on the year over ZCD, Shermer, Quentin McPherson, Brooke Shambo, and Austin Perrin. But Joe Turney, top qualifier, no heat wins to show for it, and yet he comes back and finds a way to just spurt the chaos once again here, Ryan, and pull off the race win. So we'll be getting ready to send it down hot to the scale line. Henry is down, as well as Caleb, and getting some of the intel.
The Tugo just drove into me, and that's how you got a gap quite late. It was a great race until then.
Where was it? Down the middle there?
It's left here. Look, there's no scratch on my side pod. That's a rear bump. Yeah, is it my rear bump?
We'll come by here, Joe. I know you guys are debriefing the race. It's been quite some time, right, since you've been on the top step of the podium here in the U.S. That seems weird to say, but you're back. How does it feel being back in the winner's circle here in Indiana?
Yeah, super nice. That one meant a lot because, yeah, I haven't won a race since Orlando. That's here and overseas as well. So, yeah, super nice to have that feeling back. And the team done a great job. The kart and engine's been amazing since last night. So, yeah, we're super strong and pretty happy.
And I know that race wasn't easy, right? You were kind of letting guys go at the start of the race, got back there up at the front. Talk about it, right? Because I think we've seen it more than you this weekend than we have in weekends before, where you're kind of letting guys go at the start of the race with the length of them as well.
Yeah, I mean, this track, it's super hard to go away, especially at the start. So, yeah, I mean, I was sort of letting people blow a hole for me through the air. So, no, it's a big difference. As soon as you get in front, you feel the RPM drop and you end up going super slow in the straight. Like the way Gus passed me into the first corner, I knew that it was going to be pretty much impossible to drive away after I saw that. So, obviously, I think there was a bit of an incident behind, which helped a lot. And then the last few laps, we still had enough speed in the kart to not get pulled back in.
Well, congrats, Joe, and enjoy it.
Thank you.
Gus, Lawrence, P2 on the road. We're looking at the damage on your rear bumper. Officials have deemed you responsible for the contact with ADT. I'm guessing by the look at your face that you saw things slightly differently from your angle.
Yeah, well, judging by the damage on this side, I've got a mere scratch on my back bumper, and the rate he crashed into me, I almost spun off. So I think he went for an over-ambitious move, being a bit desperate because he's lost a bit of pace, and somehow I've got a penalty. I don't see that personally. That was not an overtake.
No, I bet you were in that one to win it. You know, the story of the last 2 years has been Joe Turney versus RPG, and you know, I think it's fair to say that you were his equal at the very least in that one.
No, for sure. This weekend we struggled a little bit getting up to speed, but in that final with the fresh set of tyres, we showed we had the speed to have a race. Like I led multiple times. We was actually on Joe's bumper really until that incident, and then obviously it broke away. Got past Paulie and then caught him a smidge. So I feel like I had the speed. It's just a shame that's how it's had to end, and especially for me, I'm not sure guaranteed second place is on the cards, which I don't see.
I know what that could run and run. I'm sure that there'll be words with the officials in tech there, but you know, Gus Lawrence, almost, and yeah, a head-to-head fight with Joe Turney, his first on US soil. Who knows who would have won? But we'll move over. We've got another bunch of drivers here, so I can see Caleb. You've got Fast Frankie Mossman, Paulie Massimino.
It was very elbows out.
Yeah, I mean, it was a dogfight out there, which I expect. Everybody wants to win. Me personally, I don't feel like I did anything wrong. Frankie tried to go for outside move, and by the time I got through the middle of the corner, I didn't see him anymore. So I'm not really sure what happened after that. I think he told me he went off the track or whatnot, but like I said, he tried to rip the outside. I was just following through on the inside, and like I said, by the middle exit, I didn't see him anymore. So I'm not sure what he did or whatnot. So, yeah, Kart was actually the best it's been all weekend. We were able to stay up in there. Obviously, them battling a little bit helped us out. And then when DeTulio and Gus, whatever happened, Joe just got a little bit too far ahead. And I think maybe I could match him, but that was about it. I couldn't gain back up to him.
I believe it was second place in the championship for you at the end of the year as well. You guys have made huge strides on the X30 package. Talk about the work that's gone into it here this year. Yeah, I mean, the X30 package, we've been making really big strides at it. So obviously in Wisconsin, it was really good. And even at Pro Tour a few weeks ago, it was really fast. I just, couldn't catch a break. So, yeah, we've been working super hard. It makes it a little bit harder when we only have one and sometimes two. But we put our heads down and we try and make improvements every session. And I feel like this weekend we started off good, had a little bit of a setback in the heats. But then, yeah, at the end of the day, we were there, so that's all that matters. Thank you, Paulie.
Thank you.
We'll talk to Frankie here. Yeah, I know you and Paulie were debriefing it there. You were off the racetrack earlier on in the race. Just kind of talk about the incident from your perspective.
I don't have much to say. I'm just going to be better next time, and we had a good package all week, and I picked up a good bit, and so no fault by my own, so it's not that big of a deal.
Thank you, Frankie.
Yeah.
Well, Austin Garrison moving his kart into the tech barn. Not quite the result that he had here a couple of weeks ago. Austin, just come this way just briefly. I don't know if there's a long, hard race. You look like you've been through the mixer in that one. Just tell us a little bit about where you saw things from your point of view.
Yeah, I know, top 5, you can put a blanket over us. We were all super fast. They had a little bit more pace than I did, me and Frankie, but, we're all super, super close. And, yeah, I know it was going to be a dogfight, but, our package was good, motor was good, and, that's all we had.
Well, there we go. Of the ribs and the back, got enough in it for another couple of charges later this year. We got a few bigger ones left to try and win.
I'll be there. I'm ready. As
always, ready. Austin Garrison, as we look through, there goes Frankie Mossman's kart. Finnegan Bailiff was in that lead group as well, and a top 5 for top 5 for the BN engines. The number 395 kart, Brian Garcia, Davin Roberts. Davin thought they might have an engine issue after the incident yesterday, just outside the top group there at the end. As we come through Hayden Jones, it wasn't going to be another fourth quarter victory for Hayden Jones, but that's it from the scale line here. Let's go back up to the commentary box with Sander Clements and his new rather good commentary partner, Ryan.
Ryan, that was a lot to kind of break down and digest from all the drivers. Any instant thoughts there?
Look, I mean, at the end of the day, I've been in certain situations where Joe has been in the past, where you're the guy to get out front. And, at the end of the day, everybody talks about, if we didn't start racing, if something didn't go, we would have been there to fight. And, that just shows how strong he was out front. He was able to, we were talking about strategy and understanding the race and understanding how to stay out of the mix, and by him intentionally waiting for the driver to catch up before he took the lead, that's the difference maker, right? Because that is what caused the chaos that caused Gus and DeTulio to crash. I mean, that's what happened. And so, yeah, I mean, when you wait and intentionally sit and wait for your competitors to catch you so that you can pop out and make a move, and that's strategy. That's all playing into it. It worked out for him, and it worked out for him quite a bit actually. And so that's just one of those things. It's like it is unfortunate that the drivers did kind of get together, and that is what inevitably gave him the win. But that's all strategy. That's sitting back and waiting. And again, at the end, when he got out to lead, it's not like he was slow. He was putting down some good laps at the end there, and he was actually able to stretch away from Pauly. Pauly had that rabbit, and was losing by a tenth or so a lap, which, when you have the rabbit in front of you, is more like a 2 or 3 tenth thing. Like in the reality of it. So all props to those guys. I mean, it looked like I meant to say in the beginning. Don't count the RPG guys out. It's bad to bet against them because they do show up. They will be there for the final. You saw Hayden Jones making some strong moves to the field. Pace was definitely there. Obviously a little bit further back, and obviously Gus, man, had a good opportunity for him. I was hoping he'd get it done. Just for me. I was hoping he'd get it done. Just unfortunate. I mean, these things happen. This is racing, and I mean, good runs for those guys, good pace, and obviously heartbreak for DeTulio. He had really good speed all week, and we can sit up here and
we can armchair quarterback quite a bit of that, because it sounds like there's some more that may change, at least with how they finished on track, folks. We do have a tentative look at the top 10 in the final championship standings with the drops factored in. We'll be able to show you, I believe. Of course, Ryan, you already clinched the top spot. Pauly earlier in the weekend, once the poll didn't go to Frankie Mossman, Hayden Jones, or Davin Roberts, he clinched second. But beyond that, Frankie Mossman's run leapfrogs over Hayden over the course of the weekend. Jones will end up fourth. Davin Roberts, what a rookie year for that young man there, P5. Garrison, and how about it for Joe Turney on
2 races?
Right? Just 2 races. So really, again, 2 out of 3 that counted, right? But missing basically an entire weekend counting. And when you think that a maximum score on a weekend is around 750 points, but between the entry multiplier, 25 for quali, 300 through the heats, and 400 in the main, it's about what he was missing. One more run like that to get close to the score you put up on the board. So a good run, though, to end the weekend. Ryan, of course, thanks again for popping in. We appreciate it. It's always fun to get to chat with you and hang out a little bit. And I know that's going to only get tougher as you've got a very busy winter coming up. But even still, with everything that's been this year. So thanks again.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, and looking forward to the rest of the year. Obviously, like I said, big things coming in my personal life, and yeah, it's going to be an exciting year, and yeah, good luck to everybody, and we'll see everybody a little later.
Well, we definitely will, and hopefully this next time we do see you, the helmet's back on.
Yeah,
we need at least a few more before the year. Let's send it off, folks. We'll be going to the post-race presser here in a little bit. Podiums and championship ceremonies will be underway shortly after. Thanks for watching the coverage here from the U.S. Pro Kart Series Indiana Grand Prix. It's been a phenomenal day once again, and a send-off with 7 main events back-to-back. Green to checker, no red flags, no delays, and a whole lot of on-track action here. Thanks for watching, folks, and again, we'll head over to the next bit of the coverage with post-race chatter to continue from Indiana.
This broadcast is the sole property of Kart Chaser Group, LLC. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of the images, audio, or accounts of this event, in whole or in part, without the express written consent of Kart Chaser Group, LLC is strictly prohibited. Thanks for watching.